Am I a jerk for not letting my husband to go a bachelor party trip? For years ago when I was 10 weeks pregnant with our daughter, I got a call from my mom that my dad had a heart attack. She was crying. I told my husband that I had to go back home, Istad, Sweden. I went back home with the first flight, from Toronto where we live. I was there for 4 months until my dad was better. I was in touch with my husband a lot, mostly texting. Some nights I was too tired so I wasn't replying fast and he felt neglected. When I came back my husband was acting weird. I checked our security cameras because I thought he was doing something weird. I saw a woman coming to our house. I confronted him. He admitted that one night he got lonely and felt rejected by me so he messaged his ex on Instagram. She ended up coming over and they hooked up. He said he regretted it later so he cut all contacts. He apologized. I was heartbroken. I also didn't want my parents know because they had enough stress in their lives already. I was a zombie. I started writing down all my feelings. Then talked to him about how he hurt me and I was about to have a baby and didn't know what to do. He begged me to forgive him and to give him a second chance. I decided to do it. He has been great so far. I'm pregnant with baby number 2. Here is the thing, his best friend is getting married. He is in the bridal party. He is invited to go on a week trip to Thailand. I feel anxious about him cheating again. He says he has proven himself and feels insulted that I still don't trust him. Am I a controlling jerk for not feeling comfortable about this? Update, same post, sometime in the next 2 days. I decided to message the bride privately and ask her if we could meet. I like to see what the whole Thailand plan is about is. I'll post update later. Sum of comments. Commenter. You are definitely not in the wrong for the way you feel. It's natural to feel that history could repeat itself. The only thing I will say is you decided to stay and have another child together so it feels a bit like you haven't really forgiven him and the trust is still not there, but for your husband in his mind you forgave him, stayed, have another child, and you said he has been great, so he may feel confused by this. In my opinion, if you choose to forgive someone for cheating and stay, you can't then hold the cheating over them, but that's just my opinion. Congratulations on your second baby. X. Reply, well, that's his argument. Have you forgiven me? Have I not proven myself? Then why are you controlling me? Commenter, what has he actually done to build up your trust? Concrete examples. That is not examples of what he hasn't done. Reply, he let me check his phone randomly. He shares his locations with me if I ask. He communicates with me constantly and if he feels rejected or neglected tells me. Commenter, you are aware why they picked Thailand? Sex workers all over. All of his friends will cheat. Reply, he said groom found a deal. It's a beautiful country with cheap food and lots of touristy stuff. Commenter, fuck that, but that's just my humble opinion. Is this a norm on your relationship, where you each take extended vacations with friends? If so, he may have some standing, not that I would agree. If not, why would you start now? Especially for that long, for that occasion and to a country that is known for sexcapades. Reply, no, not norm at all. Commenter, so why is this even a discussion? If that's not how your relationship operates typically, then there's no reason he should expect you to be cool with him going, even if he hadn't cheated on you during your marriage. Reply, because he thinks I'm being unfair. All other wives GFS are okay with it and I should let him go if I trust him. He thinks he needs a fun boy trip before baby comes. Commenter, honestly, I wouldn't want my partner to leave me alone for a week with a toddler while pregnant. I don't know how far along you are or what kind of support network you have, but so much can go wrong with pregnancy and toddlers are hard. Reply, I kind of feel uncomfortable. No one knows about his cheating. He begged me not to tell anyone. I'm afraid of if I ask I'll look like a controlling spouse. I have no one. Expect his mom here for support. She will be watching our toddler when I give birth. My anxiety is so high these days. OOP adds. Honestly, I thought about leaving many times, but he had long talks with me and convinced me we can get through this. Things have been good since then, but now my anxiety is back. I'm so nervous. To another commenter, yes, he did do a STD test. It also took me very long time to let him back in our bedroom or even kiss me. Commenter, what the hell with these bachelor trips? Reply, it's not a thing in our culture so it's very odd to me tbh. Update, not letting my husband to go on a bachelor party in Thailand. I talked to the bride and groom. Bachelor party was planned by the best man, the single one. Groom told me to talk to the best man because itinerary is supposed to be a surprise to groom so he has no clue. I messaged the best man and asked if I can call him. He said my husband insisted on Thailand and originally it was supposed to be Japan. I literally begged him to tell me the truth because I'm pregnant and have a toddler. He confessed my husband has been talking, sending videos and pics, to a lady over there and plans to meet her. I asked how long has this been going on. He said on and off a while. He apologized and said he will talk to the groom about it. I told him no, please don't talk to anyone because it doesn't make any difference. I'm planning to talk to a lawyer to start the divorce process. I feel so defeated and stupid. I wonder if he is gonna blame me again for this. Top comment. Commenter, I'm mortified by that news. I'm so sorry that you're having to endure hearing it was his idea. I hope his junk falls off. Stories number 2. Aita for freaking out on my boyfriend after he and his friends ate the cake I made for my friend's birthday. I, 19F, have been with my boyfriend, 22M, and let's call him Jonah, for 5 years, and we have a 4-year-old Anna. He's a good dad, don't get me wrong. He loves our kid, plays with her, and helps out when it's his turn for the most part. But sometimes, it feels like he just does what he wants and I'm the only one who actually has to be the responsible adult in this situation. Like, I don't care that he still hangs out with his friends. I do too when I have the time and want him to have fun or whatever. But when they come over, they get way too rowdy. They'll be drinking, blasting music, smoking, weed, not cigarettes, but still I don't want that around my kid, and just being loud. I've told him a million times that's not the kind of energy I want our daughter around, and he just acts like I'm being uptight. So when I know he's having a chill night with them, I usually just take Anna to my parents' house so she doesn't have to deal with it. This time, I was actually excited to get out of the house for another reason. My best friend's birthday. She's been talking about this specific cake for months, a chocolate cheesecake stuffed sheet cake, which, BTW, took me forever to get right, so we agreed I'd make it for her birthday. I was so happy with how it turned out. Baking's one of the few little things I got in between taking care of Anna and online school, so I get really happy and proud about it when I get to it. Whether it's just for fun or for someone else, I spent hours making this cake. It was perfect. Before I left for my parents' house, I made it very, very clear to my boyfriend, do not touch this cake. It's for, friend. He kinda laughed and went, yeah, okay, babe, like I was being weird for even saying it. I come back the next morning, go to grab the cake, and half of it is gone. Like, a whole side of it just destroyed. I did have the thought maybe he would have cut himself a little piece, which would have still pissed me off, but whatever, but no, his friends got into it too. I asked him what the hell happened, and Jonah just shrugged and told me that they had the munchies. Like that was some kind of valid excuse. I was so mad. I told him I spent hours on it, that it was literally my best friend's birthday cake, and that I had specifically told him not to touch it. And he had the audacity to go, babe, it's just some cake, why are you acting like this? Like, I don't know, maybe because I put so much effort into it and now I have nothing to bring to my friend's party. He kept going on about how I was blowing shit out of proportion and how I could just make another one. As if I even have the time to do that and for it to be ready for the party. We kept arguing about it until he rolled his eyes at me and told me if I was gonna act like that over cake then I could stay with my parents. So yeah. He kicked me out. I barely had time to grab my things and our daughter because he was practically shooing me out of the door and leave. Now I'm back at my parents' house, feeling so stupid for even being surprised. And of course, now Jonah's texting me acting all confused like he never did anything. He's saying, I just needed space to cool down, and I didn't mean for you to actually leave. I felt pretty justified until my mom told me basically that I need to let things like this and not overreact so much over mistakes. My mom is usually right when she tells me things like this. So yeah. Edit, I've left my mom's house and I'm staying at a friend's place with my daughter. I'm going to meet with a lawyer this Thursday for a free consultation. Thank you all so much for your help in making me see sense. RN. Comments. Commenter 1. And you need to think about your future and your daughter's future as well. If you stay with him then your daughter will grow up thinking that these things are normal but it is not. Either start saving up money to go somewhere else or give that little boy a choice. Commenter 2. He's 22. He's going to be an ass for at least 10 to 15 more years. Does OP want to be with 3 children with an ass? Get out of my house. I don't know why you left. I just needed space. Grade AAA ASS. Commenter 3. In my opinion he's going to be an ass forever. OP is just enabling him. Update. Hi again. It's been about 3 weeks since my original post, 21 days to be exact, yeah I've been counting. So yeah. A lot has happened since I posted. I didn't expect this many people to even read it, let alone support me the way y'all did. First off, thank you, seriously. It made me realize I wasn't as crazy or overdramatic as some people kept trying to make me feel. Me and Anna are staying with my friend. She's been amazing. Helping with Anna, giving me a place to crash, and making a part of her living room into a little area for my online school. I've been applying to part-time jobs, cafes, bakeries, whatever I can get, and one place actually seemed really interested, so fingers crossed. Sadly the shit did get messier though. A week ago, I found out Jonah's been cheating on me. One of his friends, who honestly always seemed more decent than the rest, DM'd me out of nowhere and basically said I deserved to know because Jonah was bragging about messing around with some girl he met at a party weeks ago. I didn't even have to ask for proof, he sent screenshots of their texts and a photo of them together. I was still trying to process that when Jonah showed up at my friend's place. I didn't tell him to come. I hadn't answered any of his texts, and I definitely didn't say he could just roll up. I was outside with Anna on the porch, letting her ride her scooter for a bit while I kept an eye on her. He pulled up, got out of the car, already yelling, accusing me of trying to take his daughter away from and trying to ruin his life. I told him to leave and kept my voice calm because Anna was right there, but he kept pushing it, getting louder and more aggressive. I told him I knew about the cheating because his friend told me when he tried to go off about me not being loyal. That's when he lost it completely. He got in my face, called me a bunch of names I'm not repeating here, and then slapped me hard. I fell back but managed to catch myself with my arms before I hit the steps. I didn't hit my head, but I landed weird and immediately felt the worst pain in my wrist. Then while I was still on the ground, he spat on me, right in front of our daughter. Anna started crying and ran toward me. I grabbed her with my good arm and rushed inside. My friend was already calling the cops when I told her what happened. Jonah took off before they got there. I went to urgent care that night. My right wrist is fractured and in a brace now. The doctor said it should heal okay, but it still hurts like hell and makes everything harder: school, job apps, parenting. I'm working with the lawyer I mentioned before and filing for a protective order. I am pressing charges. I never thought I'd be in this kind of situation, but I'm not letting it slide. Not when he did that in front of our kid. Anna hasn't been asking for him much, which honestly surprised me. She's been sticking close to me and my friend. She asks questions sometimes, but not about seeing him. More like, we're safe here, right? And yeah, it hurts my heart but makes me feel like I'm doing something right. My mom still keeps saying stuff like, he's still her father, and warning me to not make things worse despite me telling her what happened, but I'm done listening to that. I tried to keep the peace. I stayed quiet for so long. But not anymore. My dad's been trying to stay neutral between us, but he's been checking in on me a lot and helping with rides and stuff. I can tell he's more on my side, even if he's trying not to make it a thing between him and my mom. Thanks again to everyone who helped me feel sane through this. I really needed that. I'll update again when something changes, hopefully for the better. Comments. Commenter 1. Your mom is really something. He broke your wrist and she is still more on his side than yours. Your dad might be a little better but staying out of it is kind of choosing sides. Wrist is very painful and it takes some time to heal. I couldn't do anything without it hurting. Good luck to you, keep your distance from your mother. Commenter 2. So your mom wants you to remain in a dangerous situation. Let that sink in. She is a bad mother. Not one to take advice from. Stories number 3. Aita for not rescheduling my wedding after my sister was widowed. I, 34M, am supposed to get married next month. Now I'm not sure it's going to happen. My partner's sister, 35F, was widowed last month. I've gotten a front row seat of how it has rocked my soon-to-be in-laws. Everyone has really tried going above and beyond for his sister, making sure she's as comfortable as possible. And I truly can't imagine, you know. You'd probably have to institutionalize me if something happened to my boy. My partner's mom came to him a few days ago and asked if he would consider postponing the wedding. She said they would cover all the lost money, would help us replan, etc. Apparently his sister has said there's no way she can attend the wedding, and his mom knew how important it was to him to have her there, so she just wanted to offer an alternative plan. I'm not very sentimental, but my partner is. Our wedding was planned for the 10-year anniversary of when we met. That's something that meant a lot to him, which makes it mean a lot to me, too. I'm trying to be sympathetic, but I'm just fucking raging. I can't help it. My emotions aren't allowing me to be objective. I know his mom came to him in good faith, but it makes me so angry to think about this being put on his shoulders a month before our wedding. He was so excited. And now I'm worried that if we don't reschedule, he's just going to be in his head the whole time, feeling guilty and unable to fully enjoy himself. I know his sister is hurting. I'm trying my absolute hardest not to piss off the family that is soon to be mine, one that's already mine in a lot of ways. Still, I'm so mad. I'd appreciate some objective POVs. Edit, getting lots of she's and hers in comments. I'm a man. Doesn't having much weight in the story, just wanted to clear it up. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. This sounds like something you should discuss with your partner, not random people on the internet. Until you don't actually know how he feels. Whatever you decide together is the right decision for you as a couple. Just understand that there may be consequences with familial relationships depending on the choice you make. Reply, we've talked and he's torn. I'm trying to follow his lead because this impacts him more than me, but I'm just so frustrated. Never at him, but them for putting him in his position, by putting this weight on his shoulders. Planning has been a lot of work, but it's exciting because we know what's coming. Now we either have to do it for a second time, rebooking everything without that same excitement, or we have a wedding where no matter how good my partner feels, there will be guilt and sadness thrown in too. It's unfair. I'm half inclined to agree to cancel it all and elope. No distractions, just us. Commenter 2, cancel, get the money back from the in-laws. Elope to somewhere fantastic. Throw a killer first anniversary party. Reply, I'm open to this. I've always been indifferent to a big wedding. That's why I'm so focused on my husband's feelings throughout all of this. This is his baby. I just want to see him so happy. I'll talk to him about it. As long as he's satisfied, I am. And I guess there is an asshole part of me that's still frustrated with how long we spent planning only to have it thrown away, but that's something I'm trying to work on. Being flexible isn't always my strong suit. Commenter, yeah white yay. Do you have no sympathy? While I understand you have a wedding with a lot of expenses. This is a situation where you make the best of it as it wasn't intentional. Harboring resentment over something like this is wild. Reply, of course I have sympathy for them. I hate that any of this happened. Her husband was a good man. It's not about the expenses. I'm frustrated because my priority, my partner, is being put in a really shitty position. I'm more mad at the world than at his family. I just know how much this means to him. Like, that's my guy. My other half. I hate knowing he has to make this decision. I hate that he's going to feel selfish and weird about going through with something he's put his time, effort, heart into. It all fucking blows. OOP on if his in-laws really like him. Reply, my soon-to-be mother-in-law and I are really close. There have been circumstances in my life that have made me really wary of parental figures, but I trust her completely. That's why I know she made the offer with good intentions. OOP should consider on working things out with his fiancée to figure out what steps to take and have grace for his SIL and MIL, especially his partner on the family tragedy. Reply, I appreciate the perspective. Taking care of my fiancé feels like the easiest thing in the world. It always has. Taking care of other people doesn't come quite so naturally. For a large portion of my teens and early 20s, I was pretty isolated. Being by myself was something of a survival mechanism back then. And then I met him. I was kind of like the human embodiment of a one human pet who loves one person and reluctantly puts up with everyone else. I've grown up a lot in the decade I've known him. His family has been really good to me. But I think in times like these, when I'm scared and angry and sad, I go back to my one human stray cat mode, hoping that made even the tiniest semblance of sense. Not sure why all these animal analogies are coming out in my comments either. The point is, sometimes I'm not great at big picture. I can't imagine what it would be like in her shoes, having to go on with the knowledge of so many unlived moments. I'm not trying to be unempathetic at all. I'm just trying to juggle a lot right now. OOP on his fiancé making decisions regarding the wedding and how he is supporting him. Reply, my fiancé is going to make a decision over the next coming days, and I'm going to support whatever he chooses. This would be super nice though. I would love 2 weeks far away from everyone in the world besides him. Thank you for the kind comments, they mean a lot. I love him in a way I wish I could tell 15-year-old me about to give old me some hope. I would do any number of ridiculous things to make him happy. He's the kindest, sweetest person. Gentle and warm. I learned so much from him. Update. I'm a married man. I let my husband take the lead on making the decisions here and let him know I would support whatever he chose. After some discussion, we decided to cancel the wedding and elope instead. My husband said he wouldn't feel right, gathering all his family and our friends without his sister present, but it was still very important to him that we got married on the date we first met. It was perfect. It was exactly the right choice. It was quiet and intimate in us. There's nothing in the world I love more than seeing him smile, and he was stuck in perpetual D mode. I was so worried if we had the wedding, I would look over and see him looking anything less than thrilled because it wasn't how he envisioned it without his sister there. I think the complete change in expectation made it easier for him to let go. Again, exactly the right choice. We're on cloud 9. In the lead up, there was a lot of calling vendors, friends, and family to let them know we were canceling. It was very short notice and we weren't rescheduling anything, so we lost all of our deposits. Our loved ones were really understanding of our decision, at least over the phone. We had very few people flying in, only 3 friends, and his mom agreed to cover their flights as well. Finally, to address my anger. Most of it was directed towards the universe, but I'll admit that I was mad at my mother-in-law. Discussions about our wedding and his sister's grief were ones we were already having. Still, a third party coming to him and making this request felt cruel, in the moment. It felt like a guilt trip, like unnecessary pressure on my husband when he was already having to make these decisions anyway. We eventually made the choice we wanted to make, but he did tell me at one point he didn't want his mom to think he was heartless if we had the wedding without his sister. Emotions were running high for everyone. I don't think his mom would ever think he's heartless. I know no one was out to get us. His mom was doing her best to make the day comfortable for everyone, and navigating that is basically impossible. Still, I'm not sorry for my anger. And maybe that still makes me the asshole, but I'll be the asshole who loves his husband and puts him first in every situation. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, congratulations to both. To a lifetime of happiness. Reply, thank you, and all the other commenters sending congratulations. I feel so lucky. Peace was something that didn't exist for me for most of my life, particularly in my late teens, early 20s. Then he came along and changed everything. Commenter 2, does the family know yet? Reply, nope. We've been in a hotel suite having a little staycation all weekend, so neither of us have been on our phones much at all. My mind has just been on him. Commenter 3, NTA. You put your husband first, made a kind choice, and handled it with love. Congrats on your marriage. Stories number 4. Aita for telling my mom it wasn't cute or funny to dress me as a hot dog instead of a princess. So there's this new Target commercial going around where a little girl dresses as a hot dog, and it came on while my family was watching a scary movie. I, 20F, am home from college for the weekend and brought my boyfriend, and my mother, 57F, decided it would be hilarious to mention that she'd made me a hot dog costume as a kid, except the way she told the story, it was my request. She said that all the girls wanted to be Disney princesses, but I had asked to be a hot dog, and so she'd gone out of her way to make me that costume. This is not what happened, and I said as much. What actually happened is that I wanted to be Snow White, and had told everyone, including the teachers, that I was going to be Snow White. I was obsessed with that movie as a kid, to the point where I would actually get invested in doing chores because I was cleaning up just like Snow White. My dad and I would watch that movie all the time, and I was very excited to be Snow White for Halloween, especially because my ballet studio was doing a special princess dance for Halloween, and we'd all signed up for special princess slots, and I'd shown up early with my dad the week before so I could get to be Snow White. My mother decided that she wanted to be quirky and that Snow White was a bad role model after I got in trouble for trying to cook dinner for my family. I was about 8, and I tried to make hot dogs, like how she made food for the dwarves in the movie, and I made a mess. My mom surprised me on the day of with this crappy hot dog suit, and told me if I didn't wear it she'd never let me watch Snow White again. She took a million pictures, the other girls teased me for months, and it was one of the most humiliating moments of my childhood. I told the real story, and mentioned that I got through the day by pretending that she was the evil queen making me dress in rags, but the rags happened to be a garbage meat costume. She got really quiet after that, and after we left, my brother says she was crying and looking at the pictures from that Halloween. I didn't want to make my mom cry, but it's a shitty memory for me, and it felt like she was trying to humiliate me all over again in front of my boyfriend. TLDR, I called my mom out for forcing me to be a hot dog for Halloween and humiliating me as a child after she brought up the story pretending I'd wanted to be. Aita. Update, AITA for telling my mom it wasn't cute or funny to dress me as a hot dog instead of a princess. Hi everyone. First off, I wanted to give a big thank you to all the people who reached out with kindness back in October. I was struggling a lot with whether I'd done the right thing, and getting such an overwhelming consensus definitely helped me feel better. There wasn't actually that much fallout from the whole situation, and I kind of forgot about it for a few months. My mom was a little awkward the next few times we saw each other, but that was all back to normal by Christmas. It didn't destroy our relationship, and I realized that a lot of my fears were just anxiety and overthinking clouding my mind. My brother made a few snide remarks, but I didn't get or give an apology, and I figured that was that. However, last weekend my mom picked me up from work, and took me to her place, saying she had a surprise and I should shower and do my hair fancy. She had all the nicest skincare and hair stuff laid out, which means a lot because she's never been into that stuff, and when I was done, she surprised me with the most gorgeous Snow White dress I've ever seen. It is genuinely stunning quality and I couldn't believe it was actually for me. She was all dressed up as the Wicked Queen too, with the cowl and everything, and she took me to see the new Snow White movie together. When I tell you I almost cried, I'm not exaggerating. It was one of the best days I've ever had with her, and I felt like a legit princess. When little girls came up and asked for pictures, I swear, I've never enjoyed anything that much. I might actually try and get a job as a party princess if I can swing it, just because of how great this experience was. After the movie, which by the way is better than most people are saying, I hated the new love interest but Rachel killed it. She apologized for not taking my feelings into consideration when I was younger, and explained that she has always wanted me to feel like I could be anyone I wanted to be, and didn't have to conform, but what she did ended up being a form of formed conformation itself, and if I want to be a princess, she's going to do her best to help me feel like the best princess in the world. She did explain that the hot dog costume wasn't meant to be a punishment. She honestly thought I'd think it was funny, but that she should never have gone that far without making sure I liked it, and she didn't actually ever intend to take Snow White away. I believe this. She seems truly apologetic, and I told her that she is 200% forgiven. So, things are good. I'm glad I spoke up when I did, and I think my mom and I are gonna be closer now, honestly. She's a good person and I'm really grateful to have a mother like her. Thank you. Stories number 5. My F21 boyfriend, M24, opened our relationship. Now that I've finally found someone, he wants to close it. I come from a small town where everyone knows each other. I was raised in a very strict Catholic household. I had a pretty sheltered life growing up, no dating, no parties, none of that stuff. So when I moved to the city for college, it was a whole new world for me. I had total freedom. That's when I met my boyfriend. He's a little older, and honestly, the most amazing person I had ever met. He taught me so much about life and love and made everything feel exciting. I was completely over the moon when we became a couple. We've been together for 3.5 years now. I had so many firsts with him. Naturally, I assumed we would get married. He was my one and only. Then about 8 months ago, he sat me down and told me he felt like our relationship was losing its spark. I was shocked because I thought we were doing really good. For a second, I thought he was about to break up with me. But instead, he said we should open up the relationship and explore polyamory. He said it's more normal now, and that it could actually help bring us closer. I was hurt. Like, really hurt. I couldn't believe he'd even ask me that. But I loved him too much. He's my first love. I didn't want to lose him. So I said yes. He made some rules like, no bringing other people into our beds, we live separately anyway, and to keep things away from places we'd usually go. But honestly, I didn't care about the rules. I couldn't even imagine being with someone else. I only wanted him. But that first month, things didn't get better. I saw him less and less. He was always busy. I checked his social media and saw he started hanging out with some girl. She posted him all the time. I was burning with jealousy, but I didn't say anything. When I did see him, he was sweet like always, but it started to feel like he was just trying to make up for not being around. I felt like I was the one doing all the work, planning stuff, texting first, chasing after him, holding on so tight while he felt far away. Then a few months ago, we were supposed to see a movie together, but he bailed on me last minute. I went anyway. While I was there, I ran into one of my friends, and she was with her older brother. We ended up watching the film together, Nosferatu, if you're wondering. Afterward, we grabbed some drinks and I started noticing how attractive and funny he was. I caught him looking at me a certain way too, like maybe he felt something too. I didn't pursue anything though, this was all so new to me. Liking someone else. That felt so weird. I wasn't used to anyone but my boyfriend. He eventually found me on Instagram, and we started talking. I told him about the open relationship and being poly, and he was super chill about it. He said he was happy to spend time with me without worrying about cheating. We started hanging out more, and honestly, I didn't feel so alone anymore. I didn't feel like I had to beg someone for love. Even the little time I spent with my boyfriend started to feel enough, because my heart didn't feel so empty anymore. One day, after we become close friends, he just kissed me on the lips. And it hit me, I had feelings for him, sexual ones. We ended up hooking up not long after. It was amazing. I felt wanted. Cherished. He was so gentle, so generous. I couldn't get enough of him. It felt like he balanced me out in a way I didn't know I needed. I finally understood what being poly could really mean, loving more than one person in a way that felt real and full. I grew very attracted. We even joined the gym together and started working out. He's a busy guy but always made time for me, always invited me into his world and his hobbies. I felt special and giddy. Then this week, my boyfriend comes to me and says, I think we should close the relationship and focus on each other. I was confused. I asked him, why? Things are going really good for us. He said it's time to think about the future and building something serious. Then he brought up religion. You're Catholic, you should understand. If you want this to last, it has to just be the two of us. When I hesitated, he started guilt-tripping me, like I was doing something wrong. Like I wasn't thinking about us. I love him. I really do. But now, I feel confused. I feel upset. I didn't ask for any of this. He opened the door, and I just followed because I loved him. And now that I found a little peace, a little joy, he wants to shut it all down. It feels unfair. I don't know what to do. Here for advice and support. I feel so depressed about this issue. Also throw away. TLDR boyfriend opened up relationship to become closer with me, instead it got worse. I finally start seeing someone else like he does now. He wants to close it, making me feel bad. Comments. Commenter 1. The other girl dumped him. Check her socials, I'm sure he's disappeared off them. You should close the relationship with the new guy. He sounds awesome. Reply. Looking back now, she hasn't been posting him this month. Commenter 2. He was already cheating on you with her. He asked for an open relationship so he wouldn't be the bad guy when he inevitably got caught. She's probably dumped him, and that's the reason for the sudden change. You finally being happy with the arrangement and having fun of your own is also likely another reason. He didn't want or expect you to actually date others, he just wanted an out to do it himself. He likely assumed that as a Catholic you wouldn't be comfortable doing it yourself, so he'd be the only one having his cake and eating it. Dump the idiot. Commenter 3. Dude just wanted to sleep with other women. He didn't want you to sleep with other men. Commenter 4. All this. And he is gaslighting and guilt-tripping her so that she will close the relationship, because he got what he wanted, and his other woman probably already dropped him after finding out about the OP. He is just trying to have his cake and eat it, too. He more than likely already slept with that other woman before even asking to open the relationship. That is what cheaters do. From what I have seen, people who are truly poly do not act like this. They are open and honest with potential partners before they start dating, not years into it. He just wanted to be able to cheat and keep you on the back burner. That's all. I would dump his ass so fast he would get whiplash. Update. Thank you to everyone who offered advice, clarity, and support. I wanted to share where things stand now after having some difficult conversations. I spoke to my boyfriend and told him I don't want to close the open relationship. I've grown to really enjoy dating the other guy, and it's not something I agreed to just to experiment. I told him it should be a joint decision. You can't just open and close a relationship as you please, especially when someone else's feelings are involved. I also told him I was incredibly disappointed he brought up my faith, knowing how much trauma and guilt I've carried from my religious upbringing and how felt manipulative and unfair. He didn't respond to my comments about religion, but instead said, if you want a future with me, this needs to end, or we're done. I told him, then it's done. He got heated and said I was throwing away nearly 4 years of our relationship for a guy I've only been seeing for a few months, and tried to make me feel guilty. But I reminded him that he was the one who lost the spark, who wanted to sleep with other women, and who opened the relationship in the first place, not me. I just agreed because I loved him and hoped he would realize I'm the only one for him. I didn't ask for this. After some time, he calmed down. We had a long, emotional conversation. He cried. He apologized. He told me he should have ended things instead of trying to fix our relationship with polyandry. He admitted he still loves me and that seeing me happy with someone else made him feel jealous, even though he knew he had no right to be. He said he probably deserves the pain, and he respects my decision to end it. We hugged and agreed that even though our relationship is over, the first 2 years were beautiful. We'll always have a place in each other's hearts, even though relationship has run its course. Later, I met up with other guy I've been seeing. I told him everything. I ended things with my boyfriend because I didn't want to let him go. I told him I'm not rushing into anything, that I don't expect him to give me all his time or energy right away, but I'd love to date and see where things go. That's when he opened up and told me that watching me stay with my boyfriend while we were seeing each other was hard. He said it hurt him, but he kept quiet because he liked me so much and he knew what he was getting into. He never intended to be in a polyamorous relationship, but only agreed to it because he really wanted to be with me and didn't want to lose the chance. He secretly hoped we'd break up because, in his words, you deserve someone who wants you completely. He said he likes me a lot, sees a future with me, and wants also to just date each other for now. We're not rushing into exclusivity, but we've both agreed not to see other people and see how this naturally unfolds. ETA, we already know we like each other and don't want to see anyone else at the same time. I don't want to be in an exclusive relationship. I just want to take my time since I left my first long-term relationship. I hope that makes sense. So, even though I'm mourning the loss of my first relationship that meant the world to me for a long time, I feel hopeful. I feel like I'm stepping into something new, something healthy, something that only involves just two people, lol. Thank you all again for helping me find clarity in a really confusing time. TLDR, he gave me an ultimatum, I chose to end it. Now I'm dating and getting to know the other guy. Comments. Commenter 1. Heart low-key dropped thinking the new guy was going to break it off with you too lol. Reply, girl, I was so scared. Commenter 2. Girl, me too, I probably would have been sick for days on end if it was back-to-back breakups. Reply, nah, so many people DM'd me telling me he likes the dynamic of you having a boyfriend so he doesn't have to be serious. Or how's he's gonna leave me once I break up with my BF. Honestly, it's been stressing me out. But I know him and this man stayed loyal and made so much time for me, surely he would not dump me, right? I took a leap of faith, I'm so happy it worked out lol. Commenter 3. Love this for you. So glad to hear a nice updated here, smiley face. I have to ask though, in what way is agreeing to not see other people not being exclusive? Regardless, I don't see it as rushing in, you've already been seeing this dude. Reply, it's exclusive as in only getting to know each other and no one else, but we are not boyfriend and girlfriend yet until I feel ready. Stories number 6. My 26M sister, 27F, has just contacted me after not talking to me for 6 whole years. She says that she wants to meet up so that we can talk, and I'm having mixed feelings. My sister, Grace, and I were always very close when we were growing up, and never really had any major issues with each other. We had the normal sibling rows, but nothing significant. As she was older, I always kind of looked up to her. Our mother passed away when we were young and lung cancer got my father the same year that I went away for college, when I was 19, so my sister is the only immediate family that I have left. One day, when I was 20, Grace sat me down and said that the two of us needed to talk. She said, in essence, that she didn't think it was a good idea for the two of us to stay in contact any longer. She said that it wasn't anything that I did or said, and that it was because she didn't think it was healthy for herself to continue staying into contact with me. She wouldn't get any more specific than that, and it was clear that this wasn't a mutable position for her. I've gone over it dozens of times in my head, and I've never really figured out exactly what she meant. The two of us weren't codependent or extremely close, we would talk on the phone maybe once or twice a week, and would see each other maybe 2 or 3 times a month. Eventually I realized that thinking about it wouldn't change anything, so there was really no point in trying to understand her reasoning. Since then, she hasn't contacted me at all, until now. I've had the urge on a number of occasions to try to find her, but ultimately I respect people's boundaries, and if she didn't want to see me, then that is her decision to make. Recently, someone left a voicemail at my extension at the company I worked for. I knew right away from their voice that it was her. She said that it was her, she knows it has been a long time, left a callback number, and asked if I could call her and we could get together and talk. I'm not quite sure how she even found me. I don't use any sort of social media, except for LinkedIn, but my company lists the names, schools, etc. of their executives publicly, so that might be it, which would explain why she called me there. Honestly, I really have missed her. However, I know that it's wrong of me to say this, but I'm honestly quite angry with her. She wasn't there for me when I graduated college, she wasn't there for me when I got my master's, she wasn't there for me for 6 whole years. I really want to see her and maybe finally get some answers, but I don't know if that's a good idea. Should I contact her back and meet up? Or would it just be a better idea to ignore her, tell her that I'm not interested in seeing her? TLDR, my sister has just contacted me after nearly 6 years of complete silence and I'm unsure of how to deal with it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Honestly, I don't think I could live with not knowing. Reply. Yes, I am pretty curious to hear her reason. Like I said, I had already come to terms with the fact that that's just how things were, so I can definitely live without knowing, I already have. Commenter 2. Tell her that she should send you an email with a damn good reason why she abandoned you and not expect and feel entitled to any response. Commenter 3. Please consider making contact with a therapist before you meet with your sister so you have a professional, trained, safety net to debrief with. If your sister has not been around for 6 years, you might want a safe person to speak frankly with outside of your daily life. Reply. This sounds like a good idea. I used to see a psychologist a few years ago who helped me to quit my smoking habit, so it will probably be a good idea to book an appointment with her if she's still practicing. OOP replying to a comment and adding more info of their dynamic. Sister is the older sibling and takes on the mother role. No. That was never really our dynamic. I never viewed her as any sort of parental or authority figure, and that wasn't really the nature of our interactions. If anything, she was my friend. Sister takes care of dad when he's dying. Sister also having to take of younger brother, who is only 1 year younger, because guilt and family. Dad finally dies. Sister helps to take care of estate. Sister tired. Grieving. Very young still and having a freak-out moment. The college I went to was in state, hers was out of state, and I was the one who was primarily taking care of my dad during his final time, taking him to chemo, helping with his medical arrangements, driving him to the hospital when necessary. I was the one who primarily planned with my dad what we would do in the event of his death. Neither of us really was interested in the house, so after asking for her input, and getting her okay, I had our father draft a will basically saying that his assets, really just the house, will be sold, debts paid, then my sister and I split the net. Sister has never really felt like she is able to relax or have fun or be a young girl because responsibilities. Younger brother is leaning on sister still, sister is protecting him and shielding him like she always did, but it's just too much all of a sudden. Like I said, we weren't attached at the hip close. I never really viewed her as my protector or anything. We would only ever talk maybe once or twice a week on the phone and wouldn't see each other any more than 2 or 3 times a month. She's more of a peer to me than anything. I'm sure she would have been responsible for me if she needed to be, but I've never been dependent on others to do things I can do myself. Sister goes, I need to take care of myself, for once in her life, but realizes if brother stays she will continue taking care of him. Our dynamic was never really one of caretaker and caretakey. If you remove the biological connection, then we were really just good friends. There was no lopsided dependency or anything like that. Update: I did end up calling her back. I wasn't prepared to meet her right away, so I took a suggestion given to me in the previous thread and gave her my email. I told her I would rather us email together for a while before getting together, and that she could start by telling me what happened, where she has been for all this time, and why she's seeking me out now. She initially sent me an extremely long email, so I'll just provide an outline what happened. So, according to her, when we were around 15 to 16 she began to develop some inappropriate feelings towards me. She said in the beginning it wasn't anything serious, but she knew it was wrong. During the period in which our father got sick and eventually passed away she started to rely upon me more and more, which apparently made these feelings more intense. She felt like she couldn't be a good sibling to me like she felt that I needed at the time, and that continued contact between us would only make things worse. So she thought it was best if we just broke things off, like pulling off a band-aid, I guess. She says that she knows things might have been hard for me, so she's going to try to be honest and open with me going forward. So she admitted that she doesn't think that she's completely over it, but that I've been on her mind lately and she really doesn't like the way we left things. Since we've stopped talking, apparently she's been doing quite well for herself. She ended up finishing her CS degree and has been working as a software developer at a game development studio. After emailing back and forth for about a day or so, I agreed to meet her for coffee, and we planned to chat for 30 minutes or so. It went really well, and I was pretty happy to see her. We ended up talking and catching up for about an hour and 20 minutes, before I had to leave for a video chat I had scheduled. All in all, I think this situation is very bittersweet for me. It's relieving to have some sort of closure explanation after all this time, and it was really nice seeing her, and I look forward to maybe gradually including her in my life in the future. That being said, there is certainly a part of me that is very squicked out by the whole thing and would have preferred to be left in the dark or lied to. TLDR, ended up choosing to contact her and see how things went. We emailed each other for a while, then had a face-to-face at a coffee shop. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. What type of inappropriate feelings? Reply. I didn't really want to be too specific, but they were of a sexual nature. I didn't ask for anything more specific than that. Commenter 2. Hey, OP, are you familiar with the comedian Maria Bamford? She's open about her mental health struggles, and I once heard her describe, on the podcast, Hilarious World of Depression, agitated depression and the intrusive, sexual thoughts it caused her to have about her family. Given her grief around that time, it's not that uncommon a symptom of emotional crisis, if that helps you any. Commenter 3. This is actually a pretty common theme for intrusive thoughts when people have been through trauma. Stories number 7. Wibta, if I don't make cakes for my SIL's wedding. Time sensitive since the wedding is this Friday. I was asked by my MIL a while ago to make 2 cakes for my SIL's wedding. From my understanding, these will not be the main dessert or the actual wedding cake they cut for photos, just extra cakes for wedding guests with food allergies. I myself have a dairy allergy and my husband's goddaughter, who is the flower girl, has celiac. She asked me to make a gluten-free cake and a dairy-free cake. Baking is not my main job, but I did go to culinary school and I occasionally bake out of my home on the side and have made wedding cakes before. My MIL said she would pay me to make them and buy ingredients, but she has yet to pay me anything or buy anything to my knowledge. She also never sent me reference photos or inspo pics of how SIL wants the cakes to look, which I did request. For added context, SIL and I are not close anymore. We used to get along well in the beginning of my relationship with my now husband, Sil's brother, but over time we have drifted apart. My husband and I are not fans of her fiancé, and that definitely has put a strain on our relationship with her, but we try to just accept the fact that if she's happy, we can be happy for her. The events over the last month have led me to not want to make the cakes for her wedding anymore, but I am just wondering if it will make me the asshole if I don't make them back out so close to the wedding. About 4 weeks ago was Sil's bachelorette party. She got an Airbnb for the whole weekend for her and her bridesmaids and my MIL. I was not invited to stay at the Airbnb. I was told there weren't enough beds, but was invited to be a part of the Saturday plans and I could get my own hotel if I wanted. It was about 2 hours away from where I live, so I just decided I would drive there and back and save on a hotel. My MIL calls me the morning of and basically tries to convince me it isn't worth the drive and I should just stay home, and SIL would understand and would want me to be safe. MIL said she was worried about me driving alone on unfamiliar roads late at night on the way back. I said I didn't want to miss out on SIL's bachelorette party and said I could maybe look into getting a cheap hotel. I get all the way there only to get a call from one of the bridesmaids telling me the girls talked and they weren't really comfortable hanging out with someone they don't know, and I was basically uninvited, so I drove the 2 hours back home trying not to cry the whole time. I was very hurt by this from both my MIL and SIL. At the time, I thought my MIL was just being overly worried about me, but after the fact I was thinking, did SIL not want me there and was trying to get MIL to get me to not go? I wasn't sure why I was even invited if that was the case, and why, if she changed her mind and didn't want me there, that she couldn't have told me herself or before I drove 2 hours there. I told my husband everything and he was so embarrassed and upset by what happened. He messaged his mom and said how upset and disappointed he was that I was treated that way and mentioned how hurt I was by everything. She never responded to his message and didn't reach out to me either. I also never heard from SIL. Flash forward to last weekend, I find out there's another block party in town planned for Sil and her fiancé for family only this time. My husband was invited and told specifically not to bring anyone else that wasn't personally invited by the bride or groom. Well, I never got a message or invite to the party, so I assume I wasn't invited and am still hurt I was uninvited to the last one. I tell my husband that he doesn't have to stay home for my sake and that it's his sister and he should go if he wants to. He was getting calls from his cousin and sister asking where he was. I didn't want to keep him from his family or somehow get blamed for him not going, so I told him to go and I'd be okay, even though I was very hurt by being excluded again. Well, he goes, and when he gets back he tells me that his ex-girlfriend was there. I was a mess after that. Knowing that an ex-girlfriend of my husband was invited to my SIL's second block party meant for family and I wasn't. I didn't even know SIL and husband's ex were friends. This was a whole new level of pain and confusion and seemed very intentionally spiteful or extremely coincidental. All of this is so sudden and out of the blue. I am shocked and am at a loss for words. I truly don't understand what I could have done to cause his family to turn on me and be so hurtful and not care about my feelings. My relationship with my SIL has been a little strained lately, but not to this degree, and it was something I was hoping we could work on and fix, but it is hard for me to imagine coming back from this. And up until now, I thought I had a pretty great relationship with MIL. I sent a message to her over the weekend about how hurt I am by her and her family, and as I'm writing this, she still hasn't responded. I don't want to back out on the cake order so close to the wedding, but also I barely even want to go to the wedding anymore, let alone bake and decorate 2 different cakes for it. I'm worried if I don't do the cakes they will hold it against me and make me look like the bad guy. I don't want to damage the relationships even further, but I'm struggling with so many emotions with this. It's a battle of self-respect and also guilt of backing out and leaving them hanging right before the big day. So Reddit and fellow THT listeners, would I be the asshole if I don't make cakes for my sister-in-law's wedding? Consensus: don't make cake for them. Notable comments. Commenter 1: absolutely make the cakes. And stay home with your husband and eat them yourselves, face with hand over mouth, send pics of you two eating them for added zing. Commenter 2: NTA. But MIL and SIL are definitely TA, and see you next Tuesday. WTF. Don't you dare make the cakes or even attend. I would make the hubby stay home too. Commenter 3: absolutely do not, under any circumstances, make those cakes. Uninvited yourself from the wedding and do not be around them anymore. They have shown you their opinion of you, so now you move accordingly. Also, let your husband handle his family. If he wants to stay home and support you, let him. Don't reason with him to get him to go somewhere, let him make his own decision. Commenter 4: if you make these cakes we will all be very angry. Commenter 5: I would message the MIL tomorrow. Hi MIL. As you have not yet provided the supplies necessary to bake the cakes nor communicate with me any further regarding your request to bake them, I assume you have found someone else to fulfill your order. This works for me perfectly, as I am no longer willing or able to make the cakes on or before Friday. Enjoy the wedding, I will not be attending. I wouldn't even trust that they actually even want the cakes. You would probably show up, and they'd feign looking confused and make you take them back home again. They're trash people, don't let their trash actions or trash thoughts about you bring you down. You don't want or need people like this in your life. As you've said, you've done nothing wrong and they're off acting like lunatics. Tell your husband to deal with them from now on. Let them give you the ick and leave them in the dust. Update. So when I posted the original thread, before it was taken down by the mods, I had a lot of people telling me not to make the cakes. I'm sorry to say I probably disappointed a lot of the OG responders. I didn't end up making the cakes, I did however make a dozen cupcakes. I found it to be a compromise I was comfortable with. I was very conflicted but ultimately would have felt too guilty not making anything for the wedding. Mostly because I was providing dessert options for those with food allergies, and having a food allergy myself I know how hard it is to go to big events and not be able to eat anything. Being a baker, it is especially disheartening to see everyone else enjoy a dessert and not be able to have a safe treat to enjoy as well. I wanted to be sure my husband's goddaughter had a gluten-free dessert, so I decided to make 12 vegan, nut-free, gluten-free cupcakes to accommodate almost allergens and dietary restrictions. I asked my MIL if she still wanted me to make them and she said yes. I said I would need payment up front and she would need to provide the vegan butter and gluten-free flour. I severely undercharged for my baking, so I felt like it was a fair ask. She had my husband's other parent or MIL number 2, husband has 2 moms, this will be relevant later, drop off the ingredients and payment on Wednesday evening before the wedding. Keep in mind the wedding was Friday, so with my full-time job schedule, I only had Thursday night to make the cupcakes and missed the rehearsal dinner. Not that we were planning on making it anyways, to be honest. SIL and her now husband didn't go to our rehearsal dinner because he didn't like anything on the menu, so we were already leaning towards not going to that. Flash forward to the wedding, I told my husband that I wanted to go, at least to the ceremony, because it was his family after all and I wanted to go for his sake. I told him going into it that I was only there to support him and that I was not intending to discuss any of the conflict or tension or prior events and didn't want to bring any drama to his sister's wedding day. I truly did not want to take away from her day. After the ceremony, I go into the reception hall to find the dessert table and drop off the cupcakes. Lo and behold, there were 3 fucking dozen other cupcakes purchased from a gluten-free specialty bakery on the table and no room for my cupcakes to go. I started shaking. I tossed the box of cupcakes on top of the table and went to go find my husband. I found him staring at the seating chart. He said, "Did you see who we were seated with?" I took a look at the chart and was shocked but yet not surprised to see we were sat at the farthest table in the back and not with any member of his family, except his donor dad. Now a little backstory context. As I mentioned before, my husband, and SIL, have 2 moms. My husband and SIL have 2 different donor dads, so SIL has no relation, blood or otherwise, with my husband's donor dad. My husband has never had the intent or interest to meet his donor dad, despite pressure from his moms. His DD, donor dad, was an acquaintance of his parents, so they did know him and would send him cards and pictures over the years, but my husband never wanted to meet him. He never felt the need to because he already had 2 parents. MIL did pressure us to invite DD to our wedding the previous year. I left the decision up to my husband and he chose not to. So back to the wedding, I was fuming. As if I wasn't already shaking enough. It's one thing to hurt me but to mess with my husband. Hell no. I could not believe his own family would do this to him. No one should be blindsided like that and forced into meeting their DD when they've specifically expressed that they do not care to. And if husband wanted to meet his DD, it should be on his terms. It should not be sprung on him at his sister's wedding. And we're sat at the same table with him and not with any of his actual family. But wait, it gets better. Guess who is sat at the family table? Yup, you guessed it. The fucking ex-girlfriend. I seriously cannot make this stuff up. I was floored and absolutely jaw-dropped at their audacity. I didn't care about the bachelorette parties or the damn cupcakes anymore, my main focus was my husband. He was shaking too and clearly distressed and getting very anxious, nearing an attack. I asked him what he wanted to do and remind him that I was only there for him and will stick by him no matter what he decides to do. I asked if he wanted to leave and go home. I asked if he wanted to go get dinner somewhere else and we can come back for the rest of the reception later. He said he just needed a drink, so we left the cocktail hour and went to the hotel lobby bar, same building as wedding reception. A friend of ours was working and we immediately vented to her and told her what was going on. After we had a drink or 2, to calm down, I again asked my husband what he wanted to do. He wanted me to go in and check if his DD was there or not, and if he wanted me to see if someone would switch seats with us. So I went in and scouted out the area. I didn't see him, I know what he looks like only from pictures on Facebook. We went in and sat down at the assigned table full of strangers right before the dinner was about to start. Then thankfully a couple that my husband knew asked us if we wanted to join them at their table since there were open seats. We gladly joined them, so at least we were by someone we knew. That's when we saw that they had special cups that said something along the lines of, "My name is my drinks are on the bride and groom," and we were like, oh, that's interesting. This couple was an older couple that used to babysit my husband and Asael, so not family but family friends. We looked around and saw that all the bridal party and family members had those cups and they were personalized. We of course were never given, told, or offered ones. But guess who did have one? Yup, right again. The ex-girlfriend, just another slight against me us. And to be clear, we were not expecting free drinks or to be on the bride and groom's tab or anything, but the fact that we were not only excluded but basically cast away from the family table, hidden in the back, almost ambushed with an awkward AF dinner, telling me they still wanted me to make the cupcakes when they already had ordered them from another bakery in town, and everything else, we were just at a loss for words. We tried to make the best of it and just enjoy the night despite it all. We danced with his goddaughter, got really drunk, thanks to the lovely and supportive bartenders at the lobby bar, and I made sure Mil saw me give one of my cupcakes to the goddaughter. I took the rest of the cupcakes and gave them to the lobby bartenders since they treated us more like family. Mil did try and come up to me and talk during the reception. She asked if I thought things would ever be okay between us again and if we could get back to the way things were before, but I held true to my word and told her that this was not the time or place to talk things out, that this is Asael's day and I did not want to take away from that and make it about me, but that she made it very clear to me where I stand and that she does not consider me family, and left it at that. After the wedding, we basically went low to no contact with them. Mil number 2 tried to facilitate a family meeting with everyone, but that has yet to happen. It's been 7 months and we still have not talked. Zero contact from Asael. Mil has tried reaching out several times but has never truly apologized or owned up for anything. Just that she's sorry for the rift between us and that she was hurt too and basically victimizing herself. So that about sums it up. Hopefully the update was worth the wait. Comments by OOP. Not that it should matter which parent they came from, but Mil number 2 was the birth mom for both. They used different sperm donors for each kid though. Husband was a rainbow baby and actually grew up the golden boy, but from what I've seen they've overcompensated that now by enabling Asael and never telling her no. Why Mil felt hurt? She was hurt by our low contact after the bachelorette party. Yeah, I was expecting it to be tense and a bit awkward, but it was truly worse than I could have ever imagined. Still glad I went though, so we could witness their true colors and know exactly where we stand in the family, and I have a clean conscience. I can wash my hands of it now. About donor dad, we never saw him. I don't think he ever showed up. I'm not sure why he was even invited or would say he was coming to the wedding of someone he has no relation to and when he doesn't know the bride or groom. Still unclear if he was actually supposed to be there or if it was some cruel psychological abuse tactic. If Mil2 knows what's going on, I'm sure she only knows Mil number 1's version of events, and I'm not sure how they spun it. Mil2 and husband are very similar in their conflict avoidance and peacekeeper tendencies. I've had to sweep a lot of my feelings under the rug with this family before, and I'm done doing that. I'm not cleaning up the mess they made. Husband has been a very supportive partner through this and is fully on my side and has my back, as I have his. He just tends to avoid hard conversations and shuts down, gets quiet when people are upset. It's something we are working on. I've suggested couples counseling so we can both learn better ways to communicate and deal with conflict moving forward. There's definitely things we have to unlearn too. I want to break the cycle and not carry on the toxic traits we may have picked up from our parents and past relationships so they don't affect our marriage. He is open to it. As for the friend, yes, she is a real one. A great friend to both me and my husband, and we're very thankful to have her in our lives. And yeah, things had been good with his Mil prior. We would often get lunch, dinner, or drinks just the two of us and talked frequently. I thought we were actually getting closer than ever before, but it all unraveled so quickly. It was quite the blind side. I was mostly hurt by her sudden lack of communication. And that she shut me out and pushed me aside so easily. I fully understand that Asael is her daughter and it was her wedding. I was not expecting my feelings to be her priority by any means, but just to be shown a little empathy perhaps. Show a little understanding or acknowledgement of my feelings, offer any sort of explanation maybe. Stories number 8. Aita for telling my boyfriend my body count after he kept asking, even though it ruined our relationship. I, F22, have been dating my boyfriend, M26, for almost 6 months. He's active duty army, stationed near my hometown, and we met through mutual connections when he came out one weekend. Things moved fast, as they often do with military guys, not gonna lie, and by month 2, we were already talking long-term, even discussing what life would be like if we got married and moved together for his next duty station. He's a good guy, respectful, driven, and has his life pretty together, but he's also very traditional. He said more than once that he wants a good woman, and has made comments about how girls these days don't value themselves. I usually let those remarks slide, but in the back of my head, I knew my past might not line up with his expectations. Now, I've had my fun. Between college, casual flings, a few situationships, and just figuring myself out, I've slept with 43 people. I don't regret it. I've always been safe, honest, and in control of my choices. My past shaped me, but it doesn't define who I am today. He started asking about my number a couple weeks ago. I avoided it at first, said it wasn't really important and that I'm not the same person I was a few years ago. But he kept pressing, saying things like, as long as it's not more than my platoon, we're good, or, you're not one of those TikTok girls with 50 bodies, right? I just laughed it off until he finally said, can you just be real with me? I want to know what kind of woman I'm building a life with. So I told him. Calmly, honestly. I said, if you really want to know, it's 43. He went completely silent. After about a minute he asked if I was joking. I said no. He got cold after that, said he needed space, went back to base, and didn't call for 2 days. When he finally did, he said he didn't know if he could respect me the same way, and that he always imagined settling down with someone more selective. I told him I was selective, I made choices that were right for me at the time. I told him if he wanted a virgin, he should have said that on day one, instead of pretending he wanted honesty and maturity. He said I was being aggressive and trying to justify a past I know he doesn't agree with, and now we're not talking at all. So, Aita for telling the truth. Stories number 9. I have autism, but my girlfriend had a history with this. So I'm a 20-year-old man with autism. Yeah, I know, shocker, right? Unless I tell you, you'd never guess I have it. I can take care of myself, I have a car, I live on my own, I have a high-paying job, I'm at college getting A's, and I'm on the roster for my local hockey team. Why does this matter? Because this is not what my girlfriend has experienced. My girlfriend has a brother with low-functioning autism and has had a history of yelling, breaking things and giving their family stress. They love him, but I can tell it's a painful experience. So what's the point of this post? Well, I met my girlfriend 4 months ago from a friend of mine, and 2 months later we started dating and I was happy, and so was she. One time we went to her cousin's house with her family and her brother was really having a bad day. He started screaming and yelling for 10 minutes straight. So my girlfriend went outside stressed out and I followed. We went for a walk and she started saying she can't imagine being in a relationship with someone with autism. I should now mention I never told her I had autism, I mean, would you? People don't even know there's different levels of autism, but they think it's kids screaming and other things I won't go on about since I don't want to waste time. After she said that, everything just went quiet after that until I broke the silence and said, what if, hypothetically, he was high-functioning? She said that she wouldn't because she's seen high-functioning people with autism but could tell there was something off with them. I found it confusing she said this since with a brother with autism, you'd think she would do research and find out there are people who, like me, have autism but would never guess we have it, but she loves him so, yeah. Anyway, the reason I never told her I had it is because I did not want her judging me. My friends were shocked I told them but still remain friends and said they think I'm normal and fun to hang with. Why did I tell them? Because I want to educate people showing there are different levels of autism. So why not when dating? Because there was a girl who was interested in me until I told her and then she stopped being interested. So now you can see where I'm coming from. You may ask why bother? Because I do autistic traits, such as pacing, repeating something over again, and not doing well with social skills. If I had to say my social skills are great but when it comes to setting up appointments for example I get frustrated. She has picked on this and asked me and I told her that pacing helps me think. Sometimes I repeat things because I don't know, I just do, and I told her I'm not that great being social, I am, just not at certain things. She still said she liked me with all my flaws, and I think it's time I tell her I have autism so that she understands what I do and say and that I can talk to her and have her support me. She's been thankful I've been in her life and helped her with depression and giving up my time for her, so I just hope she's ready to hear it and understand. I'm just afraid she will leave me. Should I tell her? Or not? I feel like she has a right to know since she's with me and I don't have to constantly explain myself. Comments. Tell her. People are still quite ignorant about autism, they only think of low-functioning kids and savants they see on movies. If I was in your position I'd let her know. By the sounds of it she digs you and your traits, so letting her know shouldn't really change anything, if anything it might make more sense to her. I think her reaction about dating someone with autism was just her way of getting the stress and frustration out. At the end of the day, you never chose to be autistic, so she can't blame you. Don't hold it from her. Lying to her is lying to yourself. Honesty is key, and if she changes how she feels, then that's the kind of person you don't need to be around. Best of luck. Keep us updated. Reply. I talked to her and she burst into tears saying she was sorry about what she said about not dating an autistic. I told her it was fine and we hugged. She's happy I opened up to her, understands things a lot more clear. Thank you for your support. Thank you guys for giving me the courage to tell my girlfriend. Earlier today I posted about if should tell my girlfriend I have autism. Originally she never wanted to date someone with autism because her brother had low-functioning autism and it drove her mad, even though she loved him. She has never experienced a high-functioning person with autism until she met me, but when we started dating I was too scared to tell her, and even more scared when she said she did not want to date someone on the spectrum. When she got home we had a convo and I told her I was on the spectrum, and she started to cry apologizing for what she said a few weeks back. I told her it was okay, and we hugged. She was happy I told her, because then she was able to understand some traits I do and have a different look about autism. Thank you guys for helping me find the courage to tell her. Now I'm sure our relationship will grow stronger. Keep changing people's lives and making others happy. Just wanna add one more thing, my girlfriend had a reason to say what she said. Living with someone with autism, depending on the level, is very stressful. He is low functioning, so imagine having a child sibling who cries, breaks things, and you have to keep an eye out for them when in public at all times. She was unaware of the different levels of autism and said she will learn more about it for me and her brother. This is why I love her. Edit. Wow. Thank you for the likes. I did not expect this post to go big. I've never been big on likes, but just seeing people being so supportive is all I need. Thank you once again for your support. TLDR, told my girlfriend I'm on the spectrum. Comments. I'm so happy for you. Open communication is the key for a relationship. Even when it's hard to say, awesome dude. The spectrum has now grown stronger. Soon, we will be able to conquer something small and insignificant like one of the square states in the US. Edit. Google a map and apparently US states are more angular than I initially thought. Stories number 10. My mother-in-law has already given $50K to a romance scam, tried to give another $178K recently. Can an intervention help? Mother-in-law lives in Laos, a developing country in Asia. I was born there too, but left when I was 10 months. MIL had fallen victim to romance scams in the past, but only losing maybe 2 to 5K USD. We knew she had in the past 6 months fallen for another romance scam, but didn't think it was serious. My wife has in the past 4 years completely renovated her mother's house, new backyard, new additions to the house, even left her still relatively new car for her mother. My wife also sends her mom about $700 a month for expenses, the same amount she sends to her father, and he says it's more than enough. MIL is not cash rich, but has access to properties. We would then hear things like how MIL is very frugal, lives like a destitute person. MIL would constantly be asking my wife for advances in her allowance. Then we would hear from others that MIL told people that we have never sent her any money at all, not even $1, in an attempt to convince that person to lend her money. Then we start getting calls from village elders and family members that MIL is trying to pawn properties for loans, some successfully. She has no intentions of paying these loans. For the papers we could get, they take the property after 6 months of backed payments. MIL thinks she will be living in the US by the time the loans are due, and her great lover will pay off the loans. She's been able to pawn things that aren't even in her name. She has pawned in the past month, jewelry $10K, 4-acre plot $12K, real value $50K, scooters, $1K, rental advance from a business property she owns 1/6 of $20K, my wife's car $3K, real value $15K. The roughly $50K she received from the loans, she's already given away to the scammers. She has also attempted to sell, but were stopped by officials, another 4-acre plot $18K, real value $100K, her own house in the capital, right in the central business district $100K, real value $500K, her 1/6 plot for family business property $50K, real value $250K. My wife's family is not used to confrontations. I think it's actually a cultural thing. So despite everyone knowing what needs to be done, no one is leading. So I guess I am. In 3 weeks, we will be landing in Laos. I will lead an intervention, around 10 people, victim impact statements, etc. I got my sister-in-law, an MIL ex-husband, to talk to the officials to make sure the second farm plot, own house and family business cannot be sold, as the village officials have to sign off on it. We will pay off the car loan, and then sell the car. We cannot get back the plot of land, without MIL helping, as she has the loan papers, and these loan people are shysters, so unless MIL is convinced she has been scammed, that plot is gone. If MIL comes to her senses, we will use the car money, and put in our money funds to buy back the land. We stopped sending MIL money last month, we pay her utility bills directly, and pay sister-in-law to buy groceries to put in her fridge. Issue with the house she's trying to sell is, 2 of her daughters, and quite often 1 or 2 grandkids also live here. Losing the house will not just affect the MIL. If you've read this far, holy, thank you. I need help with this intervention, I've never even done one before and need some guidance. We plan on taking her smartphone and replacing with one of those brick Nokias. I am expecting the intervention to last 5 to 6 hours, also thinking of not letting her leave the house even for days or weeks until she gets it. If she doesn't wake up and realize what's happening and pawns the house she lives in, we will not help. I will not put up $130K for this batshit crazy lady and risk my own family's financial future. So this intervention, as serious as it may get, has to work or we will be cutting MIL completely from our life. I guess what I am asking is, for those who have successfully got then family members to realize they were scammed, what did it? How were you successful? How was the process like for someone this deep in? Edit, my wife just approached me with a solution that her sister looked into. I think we're going to check MIL into a mental health addiction clinic, a hospital referred us to them. We have spoken with police who will take her to the clinic. Curious what people here think of this solution. Sum of comments. Top comment. Commenter, unfortunately, it usually takes them running out of money. They want to believe what they are being told is true so bad, convincing them otherwise is almost impossible. On YouTube there's a channel called Catfished. Maybe you can contact them and have them show that it's a scam. Reply, yes, sad as it is, if this intervention doesn't work, we're out, my wife agrees. She's even sold my wife's jewelry and replaced them with fakes. Wife feels constantly betrayed. Commenter, bit of a cultural point. If your wife was raised in Lao culture, cutting off her mother would be basically impossible for her. It's one of the gravest sins in their culture, no matter what the parent does. I don't know her nor your relationship, but I would be highly skeptical about her alleged agreement to "we're out." She might have agreed to make you happy, avoid conflict and move things along, but don't count on that happening so easily in the way an American would imagine. Reply, yeah, you're right. If it came down to it, the kids and grandkids' kids have places to go. She doesn't. My wife would probably get a rental and pay someone to fill it with groceries. Commenter, it's very likely that even if you seem to get through to her, if you pay off anything, then she'll go right back and sell it again to give more to the scammer. We see this story time again here. The intervention or ultimatum seems to work, but very quickly they go back to the scammer again. You need to make sure to protect the house so her kids have a place to live. Reply, here's what's more messed up. The house actually was the family house of her ex-husband's parents. They divorced but he agreed to not split the house or have his name on the deed because he said his kids and grandchildren are living there, and he was happy his kids and grandkids could use it. FIL is a cool dude, no one blames him for leaving. Update post. I never thought there'd be a part 2, because I didn't think there would be a point, but here goes. So the first few days we arrive in Laos, my mother-in-law is nowhere to be seen. On day 3 we get one of her friends to ask her to meet up casually. She says she can't, she's in another city for a funeral of her friend. We then figure she's hiding out in her country farmhouse an hour away. So now it's harder to get a lot of people in my planned intervention. Still, 6 people pack a van. Her brothers, her daughters, including my wife, and me. We head out. We park and one of her daughters approaches the farmhouse. She calls out her mom, and her mom answers and tells us to go away. We surround the farmhouse and everything is locked. We keep telling her that we just want to talk, but we'll break down the doors if she doesn't unlock the doors. MIL refuses to answer. There are 2 doors inside, one is boarded up and impossible to get through, the other we use a crowbar to wedge over the door. We get through the lock, but this woman has also used coat hangers wrapped around the door knob attached to something to keep us out. So now we spend 10 minutes getting through that. We go through the house, and she's locked in the bedroom. So now we start to crowbar this door. As we do so, she's screaming that we're coming to kill her. Great. We get in, and she's an absolute mess, hair all over the place, just general unkempt. Her older brother tries to talk to her, really calm. Like good guy, being nice, calm. He gets a punch from her. She's also a heavy-set woman, probably hurt a little, even if she's elderly. So I sit down, and I totally think I got this. Right? I've seen some screenshots of her phone that people have managed to take and was able to piece the possible story. So I lay it out to her, common enough romance scam. Scammer sends her something, gets stuck at customs, she sends money, but it's still stuck. Then story escalates to scammer coming to visit her, then is arrested and needs bail. Now it's her fault, and she needs to send money to bail him out. It's okay though, when he's out, he will pay whatever cost she incurred, and they'll fly away to another country and live happily ever after. I spend 3 hours over logic and reason, like why can't this guy call him embassy if he's stuck? She doesn't say a word, but does look at me when I talk. Finally at hour 5, as everyone is tired and giving up. I give her a hug, and she absolutely breaks. She starts crying, telling us she believes us. Everyone hugs each other, which does not happen in this country. People are crying. I am like, yeah, I got this. She wants to spend another night at the farm though, I get that, she's lost someone. This lover that no longer exists and who never loved her. Needs to grieve. I ask for her phone, but she doesn't want to give it that night. She will give it tomorrow, but promises to not contact the scammers. Everyone leaves in good spirits. People seem happy and dinner is had. Next day, mother-in-law returns. I see her for maybe 5 minutes, everyone seems good. I decide to go the route of starting on the family recover part, then a few days later go for the financial part. We are staying in a hotel, not with my MIL. So next day, small family dinner is had, people are happy to have their mother back. 2 days later, bigger family dinner, MIL seems happy, she agrees to talk about the financial part the next day. This whole time, I did not get that phone back from her, I was so focused on getting the family part back. Mistake. At the table sit myself, MIL and her daughters. I start with a simple, you do still believe us and not this scammer Kevin, right? She replies with, I don't know what you're talking about. There was never a Kevin. So yep, she's still talking to the scammer. Now everyone is pissed. One of her daughters throws photocopied texts conversations between her and the scammer while yelling at her mom. Oh yes, that Kevin, I can't believe this shit is happening. I try to keep everyone calm, but everyone is upset. What's crazy is that she seems to realize it's a scam, but at the same time still believes the scammer. We ask for property titles, so she can't pawn or sell things and we can recover some things, but she only gives us partial actual documents, or photocopies. Everyone is more pissed. She keeps denying having any loan papers, that the loan sharks kept them all. We don't believe it. She takes out her phone and starts to go through it to find one of her loan contacts. My wife decides this is it, and lunges at her mother for the phone. My wife may be slim, but she's active at the gym, and I naturally have to go at it too. So now 3 people wrestling over the phone, which we do manage to take. My wife quickly goes over conversations from the scammer and loan sharks. My wife reads aloud the messages, and confirms that it was the same scam story that we thought. At this point, everyone seems calm. Mother-in-law seems resigned to the fact that we now have her phone and going through it. The rest of the family is bewildered at how obviously fake the lies and images that the scammer sent to her were though, but no one is yelling at her. The scammer is apparently an American, head of medicine at some Boston hospital. Of course. Why wouldn't a 40-something head of medicine want my elderly nearly obese MIL? At one point, my wife sees that my MIL asks the scammer why he didn't go to the embassy for help. Scammer said that there were no embassy from his county where he was being held. We question the MIL, but she's not really talking much, but finally says he's in Germany. Everyone is still calm though. I show my MIL that there is an US embassy in Germany, a half-dozen consulates, dozens of offices. She replied that she's going to have to let Kevin know about these options that he didn't about. She still believes this dude. I show her that the plane tickets they sent to show he had a jet-set life didn't exist. The images were so ridiculously fake that anyone could Google and see why. A non-stop ticket from Kazakhstan to Tennessee on UA 134, everyone is still trying to convince her and calm though. My wife scrolls to the loan sharks. Financially, we are mostly where we think we are. Except she has managed to pawn the country farmhouse. We didn't think she could because her ex-husband is on the title, and he did not agree to that. People are furious, and I am tired of holding them back. They verbally lay it on her. We put down on paper what the debt is, and I don't think she flinched. We did when we totaled it. $70K for properties and items worth $350K. We try for 2 hours to talk sense into her, but she's still fully committed to believing the scammers. There is just one property left not pawned. The one in the we're currently in, the one that only has her name, but is actually her ex-husband's childhood house. Everyone leaves frustrated. My wife and I tell her that she would never see us again. She asks for her phone back. Our reply wasn't very nice. My wife worries her mother is going to commit suicide. She doesn't. Next day, we meet up with the father-in-law, whom I always thought was a stand-up guy. Everyone thought he would be upset, but he was just disappointed. He goes on to explain that he removed his name from the house title in the capital because he didn't want his children or grandchildren to think he would try to kick them out in any way, as his ex-wife had repeated said it was something he would do. He was in tears, and said he just wanted good things for his family. We agree to meet up again the next day to start a plan to get the police to arrest Mil for selling the farm property that Fil did have his name on the title. Wife goes through the phone and we get an even clearer picture. Turns out those loan shysters weren't nearly actually as bad as we thought, even the one that accepted a property as collateral knowing the Fil wasn't involved. There were two main loaners, each loan to them started typical enough for the two properties, but then Mil started asking to see if they would take a loan for the house in the capital. Both said no, stated that they didn't want any of the properties, they just wanted the interest from the loans. They started questioning if she was being scammed, telling her to talk to her family. She kept telling them she was fine. They kept insisting she gets her family involved. She said her family was why she didn't have anything and needed the loans. We called the loan people, they seem amicable, and actually concerned for Mil. One only wanted the principal back, the other seemed willing to accept the principal and a month's interest instead of everything that's accrued. My wife asks me if I remember the jewelry gifts we got for our wedding. I replied that I didn't until she mentioned it now. Good, then you won't miss them. Next day, my wife plans to pay the loan to get her car back. There's already a buyer. The sale of the car and the jewelry is enough to cover not everything, but at least the two farm properties. I guess I shouldn't be annoyed at losing the jewelry, definitely annoyed at Mil though. Sure enough, midday, we get a text message from the scammer on my Mil's phone, which we have, asking why he's getting texts from another number claiming to be my Mil, and that is the new number to call. We throw a few curveballs at the scammer, but yep. Mil had a backup phone, which explains why she wasn't wrestling us back for the phone, and is re-talking to the scammers. Yay. 2 hours after this, my sister-in-law puts her phone up to show me and my wife a live scene from the security cameras at the house. So a lot of people in this country still believes in animalism and spirits etc. Conversations goes like this. Sal, she's opening up all the windows in the house. Wife, that nasty bitch. Yep, she's got them all opened. She's got some incense now. She's lighting them outside the house and waving them. Oh fuck her, I am so out of her life. What kind of mother does that? Me, scratching my head, what's going on? She just wished all the evil in the world to come to you and your wife. Oh wonderful, thank you for reading my rant. Well, we're here for another week, let's see what crazy shit happens now. Hoping my Mil does get arrested, I think it's likely but maybe not before we leave. If you guys actually read this all the way through, and the next part is interesting, I'll put it up. Sum of comments. Commenter, the picture you paint is one of a person who is not mentally well. She needs medical intervention. Reply, that is the picture we get as well. I have suggested this to the family before. They declined it, seems a good idea to suggest it again. Edit. NM, I recall now why they declined. Mental health treatment is non-existent here. The one place that would take her is for drug rehab, and it's pretty grim. Mini update in comments. Commenter, I would not bail her out of her loans with your money, she'll just do it again with the same scammer or a different scammer. I would move on with your life and stay out of hers. Reply, the deed for the farm, that has my father-in-law as well on it, will be transferred entirely to my Fil. Apparently, this can be done without Mil consent as long as officials agree, and it looks like this will agree. Other farm that is entirely in Mil's name will hopefully be transferred to my wife eventually, as she is the one who actually paid for it, but we need Mil to agree. Seems she won't agree anytime soon. However, we actually get to keep the title from THR loaner after the debt is paid. So she won't be able to pawn anything without the title. As for the house in the capital, Fil's childhood home, Fil, along with the entire family, will be meeting with officials to have the title changed to be only under Fil's name. Plan is going to get Mil arrested and put away until she regains her senses. Can't believe it's come to that, but I don't see any to get her to her senses. Apparently, she's throwing garbage all over the house. Unplugging laundry if someone is using the machine, just making the lives of her daughters still there miserable. The whole time screaming at whoever is there that soon she will have everything, and we will see she's right. I had previously told the daughters to go easy on the mom, but today I told them to go at it if they want. These are not defenseless women, they've just been holding back. She's going to be put away it seems one way or another. Update post. This update isn't as exciting as the second update where we were breaking down doors with crowbars, and my Mil putting a hex on us, but that's probably a good thing. I pushed getting her arrested, but apparently in Laos it's not that simple. You have to go to the village elder, they have to get the village police involved, and then an actual arrest can be made. I am not sure if it really was this complicated, or if the family just didn't have the appetite for it. Of all the things she had pawned, we were interested in resolving 4 items that were pawned or suspected to be. My wife's car, 2 farm plots and the house in the capital. We paid $3,000 to get the car back, which included the loan and interest. We then sold the car. My wife also sold the wedding jewelry we received many years ago. This together with the proceeds of the car was enough for us to pay back the loan and interest for the 2 farm plots. The papers were all signed in front of village officials. We had no idea where the deed to the house in the capital was. Turns out the loan people had the deed all along. My MIL was so desperate for money that she offered to take $5,000 for a house worth $500,000. The loaner declined, but held on to the deed, which was given back to us. The laws in Laos don't make any sense to me, and I am not sure how we're able to do the things we did after. The first farm plot is 6 acres, and co-owned by MIL and ex-husband. MIL managed to pawn the property without her ex-husband knowing. So now we are going by the official judgment from their divorce. 1.5 acres will be given to MIL, but title will be given to one of her daughters to hold. The second farm plot is 5 acres, it was 100% in MIL's name, but was paid for by my wife years ago. Title will now be transferred to my wife. As for the house in the capital, it 100% in my MIL's name even though it was my FIL's childhood home. This was because she had repeatedly accused him of in the future selling the house and leaving the grandkids with no place to go. Funny how it was actually the opposite. We're working on putting FIL back on the title, while one of my wife's sister holds onto the title. My wife used to give her mother a $500 to $600 monthly stipend, but stopped a few months ago. She has told her sisters that she will still help pay for utilities and putting groceries in her mother's fridge. Wife's niece and nephews also use the house. We have to pay utilities directly now, as the lights were just turned off recently because MIL didn't pay utilities for 4 months. However, we have cut off all contact with MIL. She won't see our son again either, and she has numerous photos of him in her house. We knew she had promised the scammers to get him money in April, so we tried to get ahead of that. She traveled to Thailand to ask some relatives for money, but we told them ahead of time not to give any money. In the end, she begged them for bags of rice to take home, which they gave. She also recently went to visit her son to ask him for money. He wasn't home, so she asked for $5 from her daughter-in-law's mother. She's going to several friends, asking for financial help, telling them that her kids abandoned her. So now we have to call those people and tell them that MIL has been scammed, but we still put food in the fridge. MIL still believes the scammers. She wants to desperately believe she did not give the scammers our final tally of $70,000. She really wants to believe her lover is real. She has nothing left to pawn now since we have all the documents. I can only hope that within 6 months the scammers will stop talking to her once they realize she has nothing left and maybe she will come to her senses. It's been exhausting, but I am glad we were able to get all 3 property titles back so at least MIL and niece and nephews don't end on the street. I was born in Laos too, but left when I wasn't even 1 year old, but I get the culture. We had planned a 5-week trip, but spent almost 4 weeks cleaning up this scam mess. The whole point of the trip prior to realizing my MIL was being scammed was to do a baby blessing ceremony, to be attended by hundreds of people. It's a very wholesome positive event, something my wife has been looking forward to for a year. We didn't do it since there was so much bad energy. It wasn't until we flew to Bangkok for a few days that we felt we were on vacation. My wife used to fly back to Laos once a year, sometimes twice. She's made it very clear she won't be going back for a while. Stories number 11. My 22M girlfriend, 20F, told me that she's attracted to my brother, 26M. So my girlfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years now and she's the only girl I've ever dated and I love her so much, but she can be really insensitive sometimes and I'm starting to think I might not be able to get over this one. So here's what happened. So we were laying in bed talking about fantasies and stuff, and she started telling me about how she's always had this fantasy of being dominated by like a really muscular tall guy. At first I didn't care. I was laughing about it and saying, well sorry I can't help you with that unless you're willing to give me a few years to hit the gym and see if I can pull it off. It didn't matter to me because it was just a fantasy and it's not like I don't have any fantasies. But she says well you can never be that, I'm talking about someone like your brother. My brother is like 6 feet 5 inches, former defensive lineman. When she said that, I told her excuse me what's that supposed to mean? She said oh no I meant it like body type wise, that's the body type that I'm attracted to. So I told her you're saying you're more attracted to my brother than you are to me? She said well yeah but just physical attraction, you can't get mad at me for having a type. Obviously I was livid when I heard that but I didn't want to seem petty so I ended that conversation. Keep in mind that I'm not short, I'm 6 feet 1 inch, and I'm definitely not muscular but I'm not too skinny either. So now my best friend thinks it's disrespectful and that I should break it up with her. To be honest, my self-esteem has taken a big hit, but is this really a good enough reason to break up with someone? Should I bring it up with her again and tell her how offended I am, or just let it go? Edit. Hey guys, so I didn't get to read all the comments yet, there's so many of them, but I feel like I gotta clarify this. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't really have a problem with her being attracted to a different body type. I'm attracted to a different body type than hers too, and I also don't have any problems with her fantasy being that she wanted to be dominated by said body type. I've got my own fantasies. My problem is with her saying that it's my brother. Edit 2. After reading some more comments, a lot of people seem to think that this will lead to her cheating with him. Honestly, I don't see that happening, because she really hates cheaters, and even if she wanted to do it, there is just no chance in hell my brother does that. TLDR, my girlfriend told me that she's more attracted to my brother than she is to me. I can't get over it and I don't know how to react now. Comments. Imagine if you have told her you're attracted to her friends with bigger breasts and ass. Or that she's not as attractive like your other friends, and then also tell her she'll never be like that. She would be pissed as all hell and would give you shit, and rightfully so, because that's fucked up. It's truly something how she'll tell you easily how she's attracted to someone else physically than you, her own boyfriend. It's also more hurtful how she said you can never be that and uses your brother as an example of what she's attracted to. It's demeaning. Even though it might sound like an honest comment from her, it's still insensitive of her to say. They are things that people should just know not to say to others and or say out loud. If you love her and want to keep this relationship going, you have to sit her down and have an honest conversation about this. Tell her that her insensitive comments, while sounding like harmless comments from her, actually hurt you and make you feel uncomfortable. Tell her that if you were to make comments about her, whether they be about her weight, looks, clothes, body, etc., she for sure would feel uncomfortable and would not like that at all. Just let her know this. Maybe she might understand if you show her that her comments can come off as hurtful and that sometimes she just needs to keep her words and comments to herself. If after she still doesn't understand, then maybe you have to rethink your relationship with her. Think about it. Will you really let your self-esteem and confidence hit rock bottom because of your GF? No one deserves to be told that they'll never be what others are. Find someone who respects you first and foremost and loves you for your traits that you possess now as well as your flaws. Someone who can help you grow and develop as a person with a good character and heart. Reply. Thanks for the advice, I'll try this approach. Oder comment. This is the equivalent of you telling her you wish she looked more like your favorite porn stars. It ruins women's self-esteem, in the same way she ruined yours. This isn't something you need to forgive if you find it intolerable to think about. I'd say give it time for you to think it over, but don't be harsh on yourself if you can't move past it. Everyone has their limits. Update. My 22M girlfriend 20F told me that she's attracted to my brother 26M. Hey guys, so it turns out I may have been overreacting a little bit. I sat her down yesterday and started telling her how uncomfortable I felt because of what she said, and explained to her that I was hurt because of what she said because she knows how competitive my brother and I can be. At that point, if I'm being honest, I was fully prepared to break up with her if she didn't get it, especially because almost all of the comments on the first post were saying that it's a sign of disrespect. But she said that she didn't realize how messed up the comment she made was until after it happened, and she swears that she's never even thought about him that way and that she was just thinking of guys who had the body type she was talking about. She also said that there is no other guy she'd rather be with sexually or romantically. She seemed really remorseful about the whole thing and even said that if I had said the same thing about one of her friends it would have killed her, and she just kept apologizing, calling herself stupid and asking if I'm mad at her. So I told her to just forget about it, and I know how she doesn't think before she speaks sometimes, and I'm just glad to know that she didn't mean anything by it. So everything worked out for the best, and I've decided that I'm gonna try to be less insecure from now on, and I'll also try to stop overreacting to stuff like that. Thanks to everyone who gave me advice, especially the top comment from the previous post. Thank you for the helpful advice. Edit. So I read some of the comments, and to all the people that think she's lying and that she's going to cheat on me eventually, let me tell you this, I know for a fact that she was telling the truth. I can tell whenever she's lying. We've known each other for a long time and she's not a very good liar, and I can safely say that she would never cheat on me. She's just not that kind of person. TLDR, she apologized about the whole thing and assured me she didn't mean my brother specifically and that she was just comparing body types, so I've decided to let it go and move on. Comment. I am happy for you. 1. Sticking up for yourself, and 2. Your girlfriend acknowledging your feelings. Update. My 22M girlfriend 20F told me that she's attracted to my brother 26M. So after we made up like a week ago, things kinda went back to normal for a while, until we got into a fight over my coworker texting at 4 a.m. It was work-related stuff. I'm new, so I had asked her for some help, but she got really upset for some reason even after I showed her texts and there was clearly nothing going on. She got mad and, shouting at me, saying I'm being sus by not setting boundaries with my friend, and then when I told her that she's overreacting, she flat out said, "Don't act like you didn't go crazy when I said I wanted to fuck your brother." It honestly took me like a minute to process what she just said. I was shocked. So, I'm not proud of this. I got really mad too and said some nasty stuff about her, and she said some nasty stuff about me, and yeah, it's pretty much over. That was 5 days ago. At first, I was just so pissed at her that I was just glad she's gone, but now it's kinda hitting me that it's really over, and it's kinda hard to believe because I kinda always assumed we'd end up together. Never even imagined myself with someone else, so yeah, even though she really pissed me off and said some messed up stuff, I still wanted to be with her and really thought about fixing things until yesterday when my brother's ex, she's a friend of a friend, I see her occasionally, told me about how she noticed that my girlfriend was flirty with my brother once at a party last year. Now TBH, that ex isn't the most credible source. She's known for a lot of BS, and when I asked Josh about it, he told me that never happened, and he wouldn't lie, so either she's lying or he just didn't notice. Regardless if it was true or not, it just made me realize that I won't be able to get it out of my head, and maybe it is a me problem, I'm not sure, but her attitude about it definitely didn't help. So yeah, even though it hurts, I blocked her, deleted all the pics and all that stuff, and I'm ready to start moving on. Life's kinda weird right now, but I just got employed recently, my first real job, and I'm excited for that, so I'm gonna be okay. Again, I just wanted to thank everyone for the great advice. Comments. When I said I wanted to fuck your brother, so it was him, not just his body type. I'm honestly just wondering how the fuck you were supposed to set boundaries with your coworker when you're new. What, are you supposed to tell every girl at the office, "Well, make sure you don't ever text me though. I've got a girlfriend, Buster"? I know we met 3 days ago, but don't even think about it, Miss Missy. Seriously, WTF. Sounds like she was trying to start a fight over nothing for the sake of it, TBH. You're better off. Is it okay if I, 22M, ask out my ex-girlfriend's best friend, 20F? Hey guys, first of all, I just want to say that I'm not doing it to hurt my ex or anything like that, I'm just honestly so attracted to her friend. So my ex and I broke up about a month ago because she said she had a fantasy to be sexually dominated by my brother, which started a fight, and it kinda just escalated from there. I've posted about it before. I realize this whole thing looks bad on my side and that people will probably think that I'm going out with her friend out of spite or to make her jealous or something like that, but I swear that's not it. I really like this girl. She's funny as hell and really cute, and she watches football, and I've got a major crush on her. We've been texting constantly for 2 weeks and I can tell she likes me too. She's being super flirty and calling me cute and stuff. I really want to go out with her, but at the same time I don't want to be that guy. As much as I dislike my ex, she still used to be an important person to me, so I'm not sure if I should do it or not. So I guess I'm on here to see what y'all think. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Edit. Also, I forgot to mention, she told me to keep it a secret if we ever go out. Apparently just until she's ready to tell her friend. My 22M, girlfriend, 20F, and I have been together for almost 2 months and she's still keeping our relationship a secret. Hey guys, I'm back because I need more advice. I broke up with my ex over 3 months ago and it definitely wasn't a clean, healthy breakup. We pretty much hate each other's guts now. I posted about it before. The problem is that my current girlfriend is my ex's BFF. So when we started dating, we figured it's best to keep it under wraps for a while, especially cause our breakup was only a month old at that point. So whenever we'd want to go out, we'd go somewhere far so no one we know would see us. We almost only hang out at each other's places anyway. It also helped that everyone's quarantined. We successfully kept it a secret so far. In fact, the only one who knows is my brother, and we had to tell him because he's also my roommate. But now it's been 2 months and the hiding that was fun at first is kinda annoying now, but my girlfriend still doesn't want to tell because she's afraid of losing her friend. She seriously told me that we should wait until my ex gets a new boyfriend. So now I'm really bummed at the whole situation and honestly don't know what I'm supposed to do now. Stories number 12. Aita for being furious that my husband and his mother hid that she lost her pension to a scam and now expect me to financially support her. So, my MIL, mid-50s, has always been a bit much. She's a lifelong hypochondriac, constantly convinced she's dying, despite doctors telling her she's fine. Over the years, I've learned to smile and nod while she goes on about her spells and energies. But recently, things went off the rails. She started seeing a soothsayer who convinced her that her workplace was full of dark energy, draining her life force. She was advised to resign immediately and devote herself to healing. Against all logic, she quit her stable job, cashed out her pension. Turns out, a few months ago, she met another soothsayer who told her her life force was being drained by bad energy, and that only a cleansing ritual, for a fee, could save her. Long story short, she gave away nearly her entire pension and savings to this scam artist. Did not tell anyone while going though her cleansing. But here's the kicker, my husband knew. She told him, swore him to secrecy, and he agreed because she was embarrassed. Months ago. And he said nothing. He claims he didn't want to stress me out and that his mom was just going through something. Fast forward to now, she's broke, has no savings, no income, and is suddenly turning to us, well, me, for help with groceries, medication, rent, everything. And when I found out, only because she confessed when she had no money left, I absolutely lost it. I told my husband it's insane that he kept this from me and that I feel like I've been blindsided into being responsible for someone else's mess. He says I'm being heartless and it's not her fault, she was manipulated. But I say she's a grown adult who made a choice and hid it while expecting us to clean it up. So now I'm scrambling to keep our own household afloat and make sure she's not starving, all because of a decision I had zero say in. Relevant comments. OOP and her husband's ages. Reply, sorry I never noticed I didn't put ages. I, 32F, husband, 33M. I see us supporting her for the next 20 to 30 years. Commenter 1, NTA. Honestly, to me this is divorce worthy. Your husband committed financial infidelity and now expects you to pay for it. If I were in your place, I'd be contacting the lawyer and looking for a way to get out of this marriage ASAP. Otherwise, you'll have his mother take while you're breaking your back to support her. Fuck that. Reply, I'm really considering it, but I feel that they will say I left because she needs support. Commenter 2, why are you scrabbling and not your husband? Reply, this fool put himself under debt counseling, also without telling me, so his finances are under administration. He couldn't try even if he wanted. OOP's MIL needs to look into resources such as food banks and public assistance. Reply, she doesn't qualify because over here, if you have ever been employed by the government, you don't qualify for any of the above until you are 60, and jobs for someone her age are scarce to non-existent. She doesn't even have a license, so Uber is not possible. Does OOP know anything about that scammer and friend that MIL had mentioned about? Reply, disappeared into thin air. The scammer and her friend that introduced her to the scammer are nowhere to be found. OOP on her MIL being a soothsayer. Reply, LMAO. I'm starting to think maybe I should give it a try. Honest to God, I knew she was into the whole ancestors and cleansing and stuff, but never thought she would be this gullible. When she resigned, I was told on the last month of serving notice, again, I was the last to know. When I found out the reason, I thought she was being ridiculous, but I thought she needed a break since almost everyone was retiring early. She had no financial commitments, no cat, no dog, so I figured she would be okay. But idle hands are a devil's workshop. OOP's location and how it affects her MIL's pensions. Reply, not USA, here if you resign, you get your pension as a bulk payout after taxes. She resigned and did not take early retirement. 2 NDLY, which house? She lives in what we call a family house, i.e. a house left by parents that all siblings have equal share in and cannot sell without all their approval. In short, she has no assets because she has never needed anything. I want to respond without giving you too much, but we are African, so it's expected to support our elderly and extended families. If I leave it would be seen as being a bad deal, someone who was only there for the good times not bad. Commenter 3, I would get an attorney and divorce him. You need to protect yourself financially. Meanwhile, separate your finances, open a new account. Don't warn him, make that attorney appointment stat. You do have a say. You can say no. Reply, planning to. Our finances are not connected. My country does not do joint accounts and employers prefer to pay into an account with the employee's details. I just need to find out what I should expect to happen since I earn more than him and he has zero assets whereas I own the house we live in, still mortgaged, though. OOP on her husband's family background. Reply, only child and the only employed one in his generation. We African and tradition does say we must take care of our elders, but it's the lies for me. Update. Remember my 32F MIL 56F, who gave her pension to a soothsayer and quit her job. Yeah, it gets worse. I'm embarrassed and I honestly didn't want to update, but so many people reached out that I have to. Disclaimer, I did not use AI this time, so good luck reading this. If you read my previous post about my MIL who handed over her pension to a soothsayer claiming to cleanse her of bad energies, quit her job, and left us scrambling to support her, you'll know I was already nearing my limit with my husband's 33M family. Well, as I said in the comments that I needed to sort through my finances, because even though divorce was the unanimous answer Reddit gave me, I needed to know if financially it was possible. Backstory, I had a car I couldn't trade in because of the shortfall. My honest, loving husband suggested leasing it to his brother. I was wary, but he swore it would be fine. We signed a contract, payments came in on time for a while, I got my new car, life went on. At some point, before the pension thing, DH decided he wanted to take over the house finances. And like a fool, I let him. I slowly watched groceries and bills stop adding up even when I knew I gave him my portion. But things always worked themselves out, so I didn't question it, because in that house, asking questions meant I didn't trust him. And now, while reconciling my statements, I realize the car hasn't had a single payment from his brother in months. The payments were from DH the whole time. And the car's apparently been broken for 2 months. And guess who knew and never told me? Yup. Husband. When I found out about the car situation, something in me just broke. Not in a dramatic, plate-smashing, screaming way. Just quietly. Like a balloon finally deflating. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just packed a bag for my son, 8M, grabbed a few essentials, and went to my mother's house for the night. And before I left, I told my dear, sweet, loving husband he had the day to package his things. He's now moved out. Gone to live with his mother and I'm back in my house. I'm not sure how or what to feel about. I don't know if this was the right decision, if I'll regret this, if we'll ever sort this out. I don't know if this is me now, single mom in need of a lawyer. I'm just numb. And maybe that's okay for now. Thank you to everyone who listened, aimed for the throat and don't pull their punches. Bonus info, he apologized for everything and said he will do better, but I stood by the separation and I know I made the right decision because when he left he took some of my groceries because his mother ran out. He still doesn't get it. LMFAO. My life is a film with poor casting. I can already see that Subway Surfer background, because this is honestly ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. That's all. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you made the right choice. This man would have sacrificed your families, you and son, finances to enable his relatives, promising to do better when you've asked him to leave, and then taking you and kiddos food. Yeah, no. This farce of a marriage is over. He'd set you all on fire to keep his mommy and his brother warm. I'm sorry you've had to discover this is who and how he is. Listen, how you feel now is only temporary, it will pass. You and your son deserve better, and this man cannot provide that better. He's a liar and will cheat the family he created with you so his relatives never have to experience consequences. See a lawyer ASAP. You need to separate finances, everything. He's a lying liability. Reply, it was sad to see it. I didn't even comment when he started packing it. I was just done. Commenter 2, NTA, lock down your credit. Check for loans he's taken out and not told you. Reply, and he has the tendency of doing that. Commenter 3, you can't sign over a pension to another person. You can absolutely give them any portion of it that you have received and continue to give that to them as it comes in. But you cannot give them future monies automatically. Reply, in my country, when you resign you get your pension contributions as a cash payout. And because she was over 50 when the pension law changed, she got her full amount. People, please normalize the fact that not every country does the same thing as yours. Commenter 4, good gods what an idiot. OP get your locks changed. I can 100% see him deciding to come back to the house whenever he wants, like when you're gone, and taking more groceries or whatever to support his mom on your dime still if you don't. He feels entitled to your money and stuff. Make it clear he gets nothing from you. Reply, LOL. He just called asking if he could come do his laundry. I believe you are right about changing the locks. I don't think he believes that this is really happening. OOP on her country's credit lockdown. Reply, my country doesn't have a credit lockdown thing, but I get a notice when someone runs a credit check against me. OOP's culture regarding marriage and advice. Reply, I said this in another comment but I'll repeat it here Oswell. There is a huge war in my head RN because my culture has this saying, a woman's grave is her marital home. This means we need to persevere through all hardships. We won't always be happy in marriage, but we must make it work because the only way you leave your marriage is in a coffin. This is said before, while growing up, during and after getting married to the point that it's the 11th commandment. Every female elder will say this if you ask them for advice. Stories number 13. Aita for not letting my wife keep her old habits after we had a baby. So here goes, my 39M wife, 34F, is a very active person with time-consuming hobbies and likes to spend time on those hobbies with her friends. This means sometimes she is gone for most of a weekend or a whole day every now and then. She also likes to help her friends, one in particular, with all of their problems any time of day, or sometimes night. She also works pretty late so I usually pick our daughter, 1F, up. It is worth mentioning that I have 2 kids from a previous marriage, 12F and 10M. Before we had our daughter and when we were discussing the possibility, I mentioned that it wouldn't work with her busy schedule and she would have to make huge changes if we were going to have a child together. She assured me she was on board with that and it wouldn't be a problem. That year she went on 3 trips abroad without me, which was fine, but again I mentioned this would not be possible once we had a child. Fast forward to us having a 6-month-old, now she wants to go on a hobby-related trip with her friends for 5 days, wouldn't it be terrible if she was left out? So long story short, I was guilted into letting her go. She of course doesn't miss any of those weekends either, and unfortunately they usually happen when I have my other children. I have them every other week. I feel it is really difficult to take good care of them when I am alone with them and their baby sister, as she requires almost all of my time and attention. Another thing, she has never taken a summer vacation with me because she is always too busy. This is okay but not ideal, as I am really bad at finding fun things to do with the kids on vacation. However, now she actually wants to go abroad for another hobby-related thing during my summer vacation with the kids. Not only do I find this unfair to me but the kids as well, but she is pressuring me with guilt about how important this is to her and that her mother can take care of our daughter. I don't want to leave her with her grandmother for a week. I am writing this on Easter Sunday, alone with our daughter because she is on a road trip with her friend all day. She notified me of this, didn't ask me or discuss it, just let me know. This same friend wanted her to take a drive with her at 3 a.m. a few weeks ago. They apparently had to take someone to the airport. I said forget it, you have a baby, her friend does not, and I'm sick of this. She relented but calls me controlling for interfering. She was complaining about being sleepy all day next day. I wonder how tired she would have been. So I guess what I am looking for is, am I really being controlling or am I right and this is just not acceptable behavior for a family? I sometimes feel like we are just roommates who sleep together and have a child together rather than an actual family. Stories number 14. I accidentally clove oiled my balls and it was worse than wisdom teeth removal. So tell me why I'm getting ready for bed, right? I had a fresh new pair of underwear laid out. I've been using clove essential oil mixed with castor oil for my hair, just a few drops in my hand, rub it on my scalp, feel the nice burn. All good, but tonight, I foolishly moved my long-ass arms and knocked the cap off the clove oil. It flew across the room and landed on the ground. No big deal, or so I thought. About a minute later, I feel the most horrible pain imaginable. Like, worse than getting all 4 of my wisdom teeth out. It literally felt like my balls were being melted off in real time. Turns out, there must have been just enough clove oil on the cap, and somehow it got onto my balls when I bent over or something. I sprinted to the bathroom, washed with water, which made it burn even worse, and stood there half naked in full regret mode. After what felt like an eternity, I slapped some vitamin E oil on there. Blessed relief. The pain stopped. But now I've got blisters, shame, and trauma. Anyway. I hate having long arms. But I think my balls will be okay. TLDR, I put clove oil on my balls and it burned so bad that I thought I was going to pass out and there is blisters everywhere and I don't think I'm going to recover. Notable comments. Brother, you have chemical burns on your balls, you need to go to the hospital. Trust me when I say they won't judge you for it, they've seen worse and far more idiotic things. Kazim Dez. Fun fact, clove oil is used in lube as a relaxing agent for anal sex. Commenter 1. Bro, your balls went through a spiritual awakening and a chemical warfare at the same time. This isn't Tofu, this is TNMH, today I nearly met Hades. Respect for surviving. Altaf 770. I once put clove oil under my arms thinking it would smell nice. I spent the next 45 minutes in the shower with my pits up to the shower head crying like a toddler. No bueno. You're both pretty. I once had severe toothache and the strongest, OTC, painkiller I had didn't do anything. Unfortunately, this was evening on a work trip abroad and I was flying back the following morning, so there wasn't time to find a dentist. I went to a drugstore and the pharmacist asked me what I took. She told me that the strongest painkiller she could give me without a prescription was what I'd already tried but suggested clove oil drops as an alternative. It worked, by initially hurting so much that the toothache became a secondary concern and then possibly sending the nerve into a coma. Al 569. Comment by OOP. Oh, trust as the OP, I'm very scared right now. They all went on a field trip with this one rolling on the floor laughing. I'm gonna go to the hospital. Good night, y'all. Update. So, as you know it, if you don't know, click on my profile, but I accidentally put clove oil on my balls, and they burnt and got blistered up. I was just going to stay home and chill, but then the comments urged me to go to the doctor. I go to the doctor and tell me why, as I told a nice Indian male doctor my issue. He laughed in my face for a whole 5 minutes that was so embarrassing I wanted to sink into the void. He then asked me why I was actually here, and I told him, no, I'm serious. He then put on a stern face, and he ended up checking me out. I had to retell the story to him. Bro had to squeeze the balls to make sure everything was okay. He ended up prescribing me a hydrocortisone and told me to not wear any jeans and wear loose underwear. The reddening of the skin is still there, and I hope there won't be scars, only time will tell, but yeah. I'll never make that dumb mistake again. I still haven't told my parents I ended up just taking a lift because I didn't want my parents to have another reason to be disappointed in me. And for everything saying this is an AI story. I would never lie about my balls burning. That was the worst pain ever. Like it literally brought tears to my eyes and yeah, lol. Also there is minor blisters, they look god awful scary and I don't want to see them anymore, he said, so it should go away with the help of the ointment cream. TLDR, I burnt my balls and was going to stay home until people told me to go to the doctors. Notable comments. Commenter 1. Please do not worry about scars on your balls. It isn't going to make an appreciable difference in their aesthetic beauty. Commenter 2. When I go to the church today I'll pray for your balls. Stories number 15. Me, 27F, in a relationship with 36M, for 8 years. Just found out he's living an entirely separate life with a fiancé. Going to start this out now with the preamble that I'm feeling like an absolute piece of trash right now, completely used, raw, and absolutely shell-shocked. Using all fake names, obviously. I've never posted here so I don't know if that's implied. I met Ray back when I was 18 years old. He was in a band that I absolutely loved, grew up with. I had even had a crush on him for so long before we met. You can imagine how excited I was to be able to work with him. I had a small part in working on one of his music videos way back when, interning at the production firm that he had hired with his band. We soon started dating after that, pretty inseparable. I would always hang out with them at the studio and spend time with Ray in his place or mine, just walking around stoned, happy, and in love. He basically coached me through both my undergraduate and MFA. 3 years ago, I moved in with Ray, and that has been the same situation since. I have recently been freelance writing for a couple news publications overseas, working on selling some screenplays to some studios, and it has been such a strain on me lately, but Ray had been being so good to me lately, a total sweetheart. Ray is constantly on tour working with friends partners in California, we live in the Northeast. I'm used to him not being home or not having a necessarily consistent schedule. I don't really either. I'm sometimes in California myself with some production work I do with my old cinematographer partner. The arrangement was always nice, and it felt really good to be with someone who understood how hard it is to manage a life on a creative schedule. Honestly, I figured once Ray got back from his business trip, he was going to propose to me. I know that's stupid to just assume that, but after how well things had been going with us, I was really just getting this overwhelming feeling of love and hope that I was just so excited about. However, the other day, week ago at this point, I was browsing Ray's Instagram looking for a specific picture, and I noticed the tagged pictures tab on the top of the page. I'm kind of illiterate at social media stuff. At this point, Ray was in California overseeing some stuff with his new march or whatever. I felt myself missing him a lot, so I thought seeing some funny, candid pictures of him would cheer me up, remind me of how cute he is. So, I click on the tab and scroll down a little bit. I see a picture of this cute blonde woman, Katie, kissing his cheek. I didn't think anything of it at first. He's a relatively popular musician, not like getting on any charts anywhere, but a lot of people in a specific scene at least know of him. So, thought it was just another fan. But, when I scroll down more, I see more and more pictures of this woman and him. I click on the picture for who she's tagged as, I click her profile, I'm blocked. Immediately, I got a bad gut feeling. I ended up logging out of my account and into my company's, I know, scummy, but now it seems worth it. I click on her profile, and I almost throw up. Basically, besides a couple pictures of food, scenery, or shopping haul shots, it's just all pics of either her and Ray or just Ray. I do some more digging and I see that her and Ray are fucking engaged. People are congratulating them. There's a pic of her holding up a hand with a ring up and you can see Ray in the background smiling. I want to fucking die right now. It's been 3 days since Ray has gotten back from the trip, and I don't even know what to say. He knows that I'm upset about something, I think. He wanted to have sex when he finally got home. We always have a really fun romp once he comes back, but the thought of it made me fucking sick. I don't know how to talk to him about this. I know I'm just postponing something by doing this, but I honestly have no fucking clue how to approach my future. I honestly still love him so much, and the thought of being without him right now makes my head want to explode. I don't even care that he was with someone else if he would just stop doing it and apologize. I understand that humans are not inherently monogamous, and hell, I've thought about other people and even kissed someone one time during a LSD trip a couple years ago. I never told him about that either. But this seems really unacceptable and I feel really disrespected. How could he just have this entire secret life and just hide it, for so many years? As far back in her timeline I scrolled, 5 years, they had clearly been dating. I wonder if they've been together the entire time me and Ray were together. I know this is so long and rambly, but I just need help deciding where I go from here. We live together, and I don't really have housing in the area right now that would be easy for me to just go, you know. Should I just pretend I don't know anything until I can find another place and then just unload then? Should I try to talk to him now and see what's going on? TLDR, love of my life has been cheating on me dating someone else, now engaged to, for 5 or more years. What do I do? Top comments. Commenter 1. He didn't just cheat on you with some random chick. He met someone, started a relationship with them, for years. And got engaged. You're the side chick. He isn't the love of your life. He's an asshole. Have some self-respect and get fucking angry. He lied to you every day for years. Over and over and over again. He's all you've ever known, so I know it's scary. But you deserve so much better. You're young and can get over all of this. Leave him. Commenter 2. Do you think it's within OP's role to tell the other girl? It's fucked up from her end too. Sad face. Commenter 3. Problem is, how come OP's blocked from seeing that other woman's page? Why? Was that woman told something about OP? How can the answer to these questions influence that woman's reaction if OP decides to contact her? The situation is messed up on so many levels, it's just surreal. Update. Clearly, it's been a wild time since this post for me. I just want to thank everyone for reaching out to me in comments, messages, and even some off-Reddit contact I still have with some users. You all are gems and offered me tough advice in a time where I never thought I'd listen. I realize now I was completely manipulated by Ray for many years. I thought our relationship was common for two creative professionals. It wasn't. After I made that post, Ray was needed out in California again. It was the perfect opportunity for me to pack up all my shit and leave. Once I collected my thoughts, I reached out to my longtime friend John, actually my age, now 30, who lived in Portland at the time. He flew out to the East Coast city I used to live in with fancy maple syrup, whiskey, and my favorite coffee. I'll always remember this little detail. John helped me pack up everything, arranged transportation for me to fly back with him, and my cat, to live in Oregon with him, and brought me to the coast to bury a bunch of memories, photos, film reels, memory cards, etc. It was extremely cathartic. I was sober, feeling every bit of pain in that moment, but realizing it needed to happen. Once in Portland, Ray obviously came back to our former apartment and realized I was gone. Per John's idea, the only thing I left on the kitchen counter was my set of keys and a printed-out picture of Kat with the engagement ring. I had blocked his number, but Ray continuously tried to contact me, first in fake consideration for my safety, then getting progressively angrier with me. He did not apologize a single time. He just got more threatening and said he was going to hire a private investigator to find me. John ended up hiring a lawyer for me to walk me through my legal options and spoke to the police about a restraining order, which we did file. It appears the order worked, considering Ray has not reached out to me since he was notified. I know some of you probably wanted me to tell Kat. I'll be honest, I never did. I'm sure she eventually found out, or maybe she didn't. I have no idea what happened with them, and I have no urge to. You were all correct, I had known some of his friends, but only professionally from working with them. He rarely took me out to social events. I did know his family, though. They were always pleasantly nice to me, but they lived so far away geographically that I only saw them for very special occasions. I don't know if they knew, but I don't want to hurt myself thinking about the disrespect and secrecy of everyone. I was lied to not only by Ray, but by a group of people who I thought respected me. I found a therapist who helped me process a great deal of these emotions, but I am certainly not completely healed. I finally feel able to talk about this with you all 1.5 years later. It simultaneously feels like it happened just yesterday and a million years ago. Some of it feels like an extended nightmare. All I know is that I'm awake now. Unfortunately, I did end up getting tested and diagnosed with HPV, which has since been treated, but I definitely got it from Ray. I was arrested that night for disorderly conduct as well because I got belligerently drunk in anger. I was sentenced to anger management classes and AA meetings. I was certainly not an full-blown alcoholic, but I realized I was numbing my pain with what I thought was recreational drinking. I have been sober for a year now, just got my year chip last week. Overall, this is a happy ending for me, I promise. I started dating John at the beginning of this year. I now understand what being in an actual loving relationship feels like. John is completely honest with me about everything, even the smallest things. He respects me and understands my past. I can't begin to verbalize how thankful I am for him and how much I appreciate him being in my life. He is my rock and was there for me since my healing process began. For the record, I'm the one who initiated the romantic contact. We slept in separate rooms, had sex with other people, gave each other romantic advice. But at the beginning of the year, we were both single at the same time. He was making breakfast in the kitchen before he went off to teach. In that moment, I just realized he was always my what-if guy, since knowing him in college. I wanted him, and I truly loved him. I asked him if I could kiss him, just overcome with emotion and a lost filter. He thought I was joking at first and barely looked away from his eggs. But then he was like, "Wait, really?" I said yes and gave him a huge hug, then he kissed me. I felt this warmth I never experienced with Ray, even at our best. It felt like something finally clicked. Since then, John and I have been so happy, and now I know what it's like to be with your best friend, especially someone who knows you as well as he knows me. I couldn't be happier, and for the first time, I feel valuable. I went back to school part-time to learn some coding and stuck with it. Now, my current job is paying for me to continue my schooling, and I've been doing some web design work for them as well. My boss is the most amazing woman I've ever met and totally supportive. Guys, I feel whole. I really do. But even more importantly, I feel ready to deal with anything in my future, good or bad. I've grown up in a big way, and I feel like I'm not afraid of entering my 30s. I still have a way to go dealing with an eating disorder, but I've even gained some weight. I'm proud of myself, and I'm so thankful to everyone who has helped me at all. I'm not alone anymore. Thank you for reading. TLDR, I am okay now after being severely cheated on. Stories number 16. I accidentally threw a sandwich and it caused a work crisis. Okay, this is a ridiculous situation, but it's also serious and spiraled out of control, we think, and my coworker and I dug ourselves into a hole by staying silent. Our grand boss is, let's say, Frosty. Elegant, always in glorious suits, not a hair out of place and a winter type. Renton is a younger, 30-ish, lad type. He's well known to sneak out for an extra long lunch at the pub to catch midweek footy and come back after having a couple of pints, etc. My coworker and I were in the kitchen area, eating, as one does. She was telling me about a program she had been watching and was very animated, gesticulating with her sandwich. Frosty Boss had just walked past us when my coworker made a particularly vehement point and completely lost grip of the sandwich. We both stared in horror as it flew through the air and smacked Frosty Boss on the bum. Frosty Boss was right next to Renton, and she turned and gave him the deathliest of death stares, before stalking away. Allison, she didn't see the sandwich. She clearly thought Renton had patted her familiarly. We don't think Renton even noticed. No one else in the room, there weren't a lot of us, late lunch, seemed to see either. Coworker and I were in horrified shock, and this is terrible of us, didn't speak up. The whole thing was over in less than 10 seconds. What do you say? Now the gossip mill is churning like mad. Renton was gone for 2 days, the same length of time as our mandatory sexual harassment training module. And it's going around that someone threw a sandwich at him to keep him from molesting the boss, because he was drunk. Obviously, we have to fix this. But holiday break came, and now we don't know how. We need a script. P.S. To make matters even worse, my coworker loves vinaigrette and mayonnaise on her sandwiches, so we also should have offered to have the skirt cleaned, because there was a definite splotch. Script to note that, too, might be rather nice. Update. Things rather sorted themselves out. Diane, the owner of said sandwich, was very much uninclined to rectify the situation, so I spoke to Renton on my own. He burst out laughing at how terribly ineptly we handled it, and he explained that he was actually on a new roster, which was why he was missing for those days I erroneously assumed he was out for rehabilitation. So he was in training, basically, to learn how to deal with idiotic situations. Blushes, looks around sideways asterisk. I distanced myself from Diane, and Renton and I have actually become good friends. We snuck out for some afternoon footy today, ahem. The Euros have started, people, don't get salacious. Because patios are open. So I lost and gained a friend, but I have, I think, better judgment now on how to deal with absolute ridiculous happenings. I'm still pleasant with Diane, but this changed my view of her a bit, to be frank. She still uses our dictionary as a sandwich press, and Frosty Boss has worn the suit since. I cannot lie, I have been charting her outfits. We're talking Excel spreadsheet. So now I have wonderful ideas around how to dress for the role you want, not the role you have. I just need about an extra 40% salary increase to achieve it. So I think it's all good. I also started to chat with a couple of our more chatty folks, and tried to downplay the rumors by saying that didn't sound like renting at all, and everyone I spoke to agreed with me, and between that and our being mates and him being tagged for a seniorish role, it died off well quick. Now the big question is who on earth would have started such a ridiculous story? This might be me showing my immaturity again, but I just rather nope out of those blathers, and say I've got some revision to do. Stories number 17. My boyfriend, 27M, keeps pushing his natural lifestyle on me, and recently I feel as though he crossed a major boundary, and I'm thinking of ending things. I, F25, have been with my boyfriend for a little over 4.5 years now. For context, he grew up in a household that heavily believes in natural remedies, and staying away from medicine and stuff, if that makes sense. I don't know if there is an exact name for it, but yeah. I never really minded it at the time. Of course I respect that he has his own preferences and upbringing, and as long as he respected mine, I was perfectly fine with it. At first, he'd just suggest things like, try ginger tea for your headaches instead of ibuprofen, or sometimes he'd recommend breathing exercises when I had hay fever. Even though I doubted it would benefit me, I gave it a fair shot, genuinely. The only thing that I somewhat approved of at the time was the ginger tea, but not even because it worked, just because it tasted quite nice. But after a while, I realized his methods just didn't work for me. I went back to my regular meds, which give me actual relief. I thought he'd understand, but he kept bringing it up and sneaking criticisms at me every time he saw me take a tablet. For context, I have really bad hay fever allergies. To the point I sometimes prevent myself from going out during the summer. Certain medications that are supposed to work on a lot of people don't usually work on me, and my eyes get extremely swollen and I sneeze like so much it's almost embarrassing. There is, however, this one medication, despite the high cost, which works extremely well for me, where I can go the whole day without sneezing or itchy eyes. Then I started noticing that my hay fever medication was disappearing. I always keep it in the same two places. Either the top kitchen cabinet, or my desk drawer, and I knew it wasn't just me misplacing it. When I asked him about it, he denied touching it at first. Eventually, he did admit to throwing it away, saying, it was almost empty anyway. I was furious. That box still had about 5 capsules left, and they were the kind you can split in half, so basically 10 doses. He apologized and said he didn't realize. I was upset, but I chose to forgive him. Fast forward a few months, and he started bringing up my birth control. He began saying things like how we should be more natural, and that I should stop using contraception. For the record, I've been on birth control because he doesn't like using condoms, and I absolutely do not want kids right now, if ever. And I did tell him I wasn't comfortable stopping, but he kept pushing, saying he'd just pull out and everything would be fine. Eventually, I did give in, but he didn't even pull out. I felt completely violated. I felt disgusting and furious. I confronted him, and he said something along the lines of, just happened in the moment. I don't remember his exact words because I was fuming, and then he said something like how he thought I was okay with it. But I wasn't. I'm not. I feel like my boundaries were completely disrespected, and honestly, I don't know how to feel about him right now. What I do know is that I'm seriously considering ending the relationship. I've tried to be understanding, but after what happened I just don't know if I can ever trust him again. I'm not sure if I'm overreacting over one thing that happened, because I'm quite scared of throwing away a 4-year relationship, and I really do love him and so do my family. Am I overreacting? Or is this a huge red flag? Edit. Okay, well, this is sort of crazy. I went straight to bed after posting this and woke up to hundreds of people saying to run from this relationship. Firstly, I'm still thinking of how to do so, because I'm not a very confrontational person. I've never ended a relationship, and have only ever had relationships ended on me. Secondly, I still need to think of the process of leaving. I'd most likely have to move back in with my parents for the time being because me and M27 are renting together. I feel like deep down, I knew this was where to draw the line. I just needed a bit of confirmation that I wasn't going crazy, mostly because he made it seem like I was making a big deal over it and made the situation seem less than it really is. Third of all, me and M27 haven't had sex ever since that whole situation happened, mostly because I don't feel safe having sex anymore, which I know is a major sign when it comes to relationships. Furthermore, I do understand a lot of the people calling me stupid for not leaving already, and I genuinely appreciate the honesty even if it stung a little. You're right that I shouldn't let someone push my boundaries or put my health at risk. But I also want to be transparent about why this isn't just a walk-away situation for me. We've been together for more than 4 years. My mum literally calls him her son, and my siblings see him like an older brother. He's deeply woven into my life, and he's by far my longest relationship ever. Untangling that is going to hurt. Regardless, I will try to respond to as much comments as I can and give updates. Thank you everyone, for assuring me I wasn't crazy in this situation. Stories number 18. I outed my closeted uncle after he shamed me for being gay at a family dinner. Hi, I'm reposting this here as it got removed on the other AITA sub due to the relationship between my uncle and aunt apparently. And I will clarify that yes, the aunt mentioned is Dave's wife. And she didn't know, but she never supported me either when his insults came my way. Post is pasted as in the other sub below. 25M, came out to my family at 20. Most were cool, but my uncle, Dave, 45M, has always been weird about it, constantly making comments like, you don't have to act so gay, or, when I was younger, men kept that to themselves. I shrugged it off until last week. At a family dinner, Dave started going off about how pride parades are just perverts wanting attention, and how real men don't flaunt it. When I called him homophobic, he smirked and said, your generation's obsessed with labels. Why can't you just be normal? Here's where I might have been the asshole. I'd suspected Dave wasn't straight for years. He's always been oddly fixated on my dating life, and once I even spotted him on Grindr, I recognized his torso tattoo in a very NSFW pic. I never said anything until now. I snapped, that's rich coming from a guy who's on Grindr every weekend. How's that working out for you? Silence. Then my aunt gasped she had no idea. Dave went pale, knocked over his wine glass, and left. Later, my mom texted me, you humiliated him. Was that necessary? Some family members are on my side, but others say outing him crossed a line, even if he's an asshole. I'm torn. He's been nasty to me for years, but I know how dangerous it is to out someone. Stories number 19. My M17 father, M51, was suspended from church duties for honoring federal workers during announcements at church. I'm writing this because of a recent situation that led to my dad being suspended from duties in the church where he resided for over 10 years, and Dad told us, I have 2 younger brothers, during a family meeting last week. We didn't go to church this Sunday because of what happened too. My parents are leaders in our church, and leaders often do the post-worship announcements about church programs, upcoming events before the tithe baskets are passed and the pastor speaks. Our church is pretty big with 2 services, and the incident happened when Dad did the announcements last week. Announcements usually follow a pattern of briefing the congregation on events before asking all first-time visitors to stand and receive a brochure while being welcomed by the congregation. If there is anyone visibly wearing a military uniform, or someone having alerted the church to the fact that their military relative was home for the week, they ask that person to stand, which usually results in a standing ovation. We didn't have anyone from the military last week, but my dad asked if any federal workers were present to have them stand before saying that God's in control and will never leave them no matter how bleak things seem, and he also thanked them for their service to our country. When Dad explained his motivation at our family meeting, he said he felt God put it on his heart to honor federal workers the same way our church honored medical workers during COVID, once services resumed, by having nurses stand for recognition. He also said he felt led to reassure them that they were appreciated amidst everything going on in the federal government. However, Dad was talked to by one of the assistant pastors during the week and was told that he shouldn't have done that. My dad disagrees because the main pastor often talks about letting the Lord dictate the service regardless of pre-made plans, and other leaders have followed that creed. For example, there are days when worship is really powerful, and the pastor will have the band sing a few more songs than originally planned or have an impromptu altar call for something God puts on his heart. There are times when someone gives a prophetic word in tongues, a different language, that are also impromptu, and a leader pastor will often elaborate on it afterward. Going back to Dad, he said he's been considering leaving the church for some time and that now was perhaps God's timing. He also said the church has gotten too political in recent years, and he said that played a part in what happened. The assistant pastor who informed him of the suspension told him that federal workers shouldn't be honored like nurses or veterans because, unlike them, they can't do their jobs at home via telework and be lazy. He even said that honoring them was disrespectful to veterans nurses, and my dad disagrees. Dad said he felt led to honor federal workers because many of them were being wrongfully villainized, but he was suspended from announcements for a few weeks. He also thinks the time is right to leave the church, but he wanted to talk to us because of the friends we had there, more so my younger brothers. He thinks they should be able to keep their friends similar to kids who have friends from other schools. Personally, I respect him for being open with us, and Mom agrees that the suspension was uncalled for. Dad is mostly stressed about being a deacon and wanting to step down before his term ends. He also said he's nervous about who to tell beforehand or not, and Mom said that they will work on it. He doesn't want to burn his bridges, but he doesn't know how to go about it. I know I don't have much of anything to contribute to how he steps down aside from supporting him, but I wanted to ask if anyone had any experience with stepping down or any ideas I could suggest. I would appreciate any that are given. Update. I really appreciate all of the perspectives given on my first post, and I shared some of them with my parents, including one in particular I'll highlight. My dad took a few days to pray over what he should do, and he learned something from one commenter who gave insight into something he didn't see. The comment, from aggravating_Kale9788, said it could be dangerous for a federal employee to stand up and be identified in that manner as OSPEC, operational security, is taught to federal workers, and especially in this current political climate. The comment also suggested the possibility of a crazy person potentially following them into the parking lot or home. Dad said he didn't consider that and thought it was perhaps a reason why he was suspended, although the assistant pastor never mentioned it. He eventually decided on meeting with the senior pastor to discuss the suspension, and we had another family meeting to discuss it shortly afterwards. During the meeting, Dad reiterated much of what the assistant pastor said and how he disagreed with him, saying that federal workers shouldn't be mentioned in the same breath as nurses, veterans, because they can't telework and be lazy. But Dad also mentioned his mistake of potentially pressuring federal workers to stand, which could have put them in a very dangerous position, and asked if that had anything to do with the suspension. But the pastor told him that it had nothing to do with the suspension and that he signed off on it before the assistant pastor told him. Long story short, he basically reiterated what the youth pastor said about how it's insulting to honor federal workers in the same breath as nurses, veterans. But when Dad pointed out what another comment informed us, how many federal workers were veterans and nurses and firefighters whom our church also honors from time to time, the pastor didn't change his tune. Dad explained how he felt God told him to honor federal workers who were being unfairly villainized, but he didn't see it that way. After Dad told us how it went, Mom said they made the decision to stop attending immediately because she believed that their handling of this was disrespectful. Dad's been in the church for over 10 years, currently serves as a deacon and was once a trustee too. It is also hypocritical how other leaders are allowed to follow the Holy Spirit if God puts something on their heart, such as impromptu altar calls or going off on a tangent about something random God wants someone in the congregation to hear, usually a very spot-on assessment, like someone proclaiming that a nurse in the congregation has a big life decision they're stressed about or something. I told a few commenters that the same senior pastor used to have a thing about not talking politics and would say that we are to pray for whoever is in office because God can use anyone for his glory. But ever since the current president began running for re-election, he slowly changed his tune and began promoting him during service, one of the many reasons Dad felt led to leave for a while. The senior pastor has served in our church for over 30 years, and his recent change has hurt Mom and Dad to see. At the end of the meeting, Dad said that we take time off from attending church until they decided on some new ones to try. So that's pretty much it, but I wanted to address another thing that people mentioned regarding our church. I mentioned that our church often honors many people, and some said that that was off-putting. I mentioned this to Dad, and he actually agreed that some of it seemed contrived. If a couple has a milestone wedding anniversary coming up, they'll often tell the church, during the week, and ask to be recognized during service. So a leader will have them stand the same way they ask veterans if we see one in a uniform, or their family tells the church that their military relative will be there that Sunday, and the wedding anniversary requests personally sound a bit awkward, attention-seeking. Regarding veterans, the church once received a complaint from a veteran who didn't wear a uniform to church, but was blindsided when their family called the church, during the week, to ask him to stand by name to be recognized, and he said that he wouldn't attend anymore as a result because he just wanted to attend in peace. The church does the same for nurses and milestone birthdays, but they didn't stop following that complaint. As a matter of fact, the church continued with the tradition because the senior pastor said that the standing ovations for the veterans often brings up the energy in the service, and he compared it to how SeaWorld opened their One Ocean show with a tribute to veterans, asking them to stand at the beginning. Dad disagreed and said God doesn't need artificial things to bring up the energy in the service, but the traditions continued nonetheless. That's just one of many things with this church, and Dad thinks now is the right time to leave. I appreciate the perspectives that were given, as it really helped us reflect on everything that happened. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm proud of your father for doing what he feels called to do. In my church, we pray for our nation's leaders every Sunday, not because we like them, but because we need God's guidance if we're ever going to come together. I feel terribly for all the federal workers that are just trying to support their family in this reality TV atmosphere. I will be praying that you and your family find another church home. Commenter 2. I'm sorry to hear about this. An absurd overreaction. I would want to ask everyone involved in this how their actions pointed towards Jesus. For abundant reasons, I would say that it is time to leave. My advice is always to be open and honest about reasons for leaving, which would include addressing this incident, being honest that it was not the precipitating factor, but ask people to focus on where the gospel of God's peace and saving grace is being preached. Know that somewhere nearby is a community that has never met you, but is praying for your family and all of those trying to speak the truth and honor God. Commenter 3. As a federal employee, thank you Father for me and all others in our situation. In this environment, in the United States, it has been tough to deal with the public. Commenter 4. Praying for people who have been thrown into dire financial situations and wrongly maligned is a thoroughly Christian act. Condemning someone for that is simply a result of political malice and prejudice. It has no place in the church. Commenter 5. It sounds like he made a lovely gesture. If I were a federal employee, I would feel grateful and supported for prayers during what is chaotic time for them. I myself am angry that even if you believe government needs to be downsized, there is no excuse for the gleeful, degrading, belligerent attitudes people have toward workers who are losing their livelihoods. I expect these same people to begrudge even the most basic social services as these families deal with sudden loss of income. I apologize for getting off topic. Y'all sound like a lovely, spiritually mature family, and I hope you are able to navigate this situation with certainty and God's peace. The following comments are comments from federal workers who lent their opinions in our Fed News *******. Commenter 6. Your father is a brave and kind man. You should be very proud. Unfortunately, you may experience a similar attitude at other charismatic and evangelical churches, but I promise you, there are congregations out there who would appreciate your father's thoughtful and reasoned takes while encouraging similar thoughtfulness and reason in other areas of life. Commenter 7. Tell your dad a huge thank you. Federal workers are veterans and nurses, and truck drivers, firefighters and police, secretaries, accountants, and physical therapists. Your assistant pastor will only realize this once these folks are all gone and things fall apart. This church is moving away from Jesus' teachings, and it's very sad when that happens, but your parents will either influence the situation or find a more like-minded tribe. Your dad is a great example for you and others. It's hard to stand up for right, but that is what Jesus did. Commenter 8. In this climate, and especially in a venue such as that, it could be dangerous for a federal employee to stand up and be identified in that manner. OPSEC, operational security, is a thing they beat into us in government service. I appreciate what your dad was trying to do to honor federal employees during hard times, but it doesn't seem like he thought it through. He had to have known that that was going to be the reaction in that venue, and that outing a Fed in a hostile environment can be dangerous to them. What if after he outed them in church some crazy person accosted them in the parking lot or followed them home and set their house on fire? Replied, thank you for making me aware of this. I never thought of that and am not sure that he has either. I will bring it to his attention as something to consider going forward for the reasons you mentioned. Commenter 9. Thank your father for me. Tell the leaders of the church they are unpatriotic. I serve my country for the same reasons people join the military. In fact, I am from a long line of service veterans, and I became a federal employee following in my grandfather's and father's footsteps. It is how I can give back since I couldn't serve in the military. Commenter 10. It's been a rough few weeks, and when people like your dad speak up, it does give me encouragement that the work we do helping people is appreciated. And the fact that your dad took the risk to stand by his integrity speaks volumes. The church will be greatly reduced if he is removed. No helpful advice, but I'll keep you all in our prayers. We've got to take care of one another during tumultuous times. Commenter 11. First, you are a very thoughtful and kind young man. Your father is certainly doing something right. I do not mean this to sound flip in any way, but I think for the sake of your family's faith and integrity, you need to find a church that is aligned with Jesus' teachings. Your church is picking and choosing people who are better, or worse, than others. God doesn't do that. Way your church treating members of the military borders on idolatry. Did you know that a huge number of the persecuted federal workers literally spent their careers trying to heal the sick and help the poor? Take a look at your Bible and see how many times Jesus does those things and commands you to do the same. Compare it to how many times he orders you to join the military. Let's say for the sake of argument that everything your assistant pastor said was 100% true. What your dad did would still be the right thing to do. It is exactly the worst people in society, including literally tax collectors, who Jesus spent his time with. Welcoming evil, or lazy, federal workers and letting them know they are loved and valued would still be a deeply Christian act. Bottom line, God guided your father to do something, and the fallible men of the church scolded him for it and castigated him. Find a church that's on God's side. Stories number 20. Aita for not waiting for my stepkids to be with us before doing something with my biological children. I have 2 children, 4 and 2, with my husband, and 2 stepkids, 10 and 9, from his prior marriage. My husband and his ex-wife share physical and legal custody and have equal parenting time of their children. So my stepkids are with us every other week. For a while now my stepkids have been acting up when I'm left in charge. They're pushing far more boundaries. They tell me I'm not their mom repeatedly if I'm the only one around. their behavior in public when I go anywhere with them alone is worse and they won't listen if it's me talking to them. My husband is addressing this but his ex sees no issue with them not listening to me. She has told him she does not care. So it's entirely on us to address it, and finding the right solution is taking time. My stepkids' behavior is something my SIL has latched onto, and she's accusing me of punishing them in unfair ways because of their behavior. And why is this? Because I do fun things with my kids, take them places, on days my stepkids are with their mom. I took my kids to a book fair that was running and we had a good day. I've taken them shopping to let them pick out a new toy or plushie. Or we'd go to events at the library or to a movie. Those kinds of things that I do that are now being questioned. SIL does not think I should be doing most of that when my stepkids are with their mom, and she said she feels I'm doing it as a way of punishing them for acting out on me when they don't with anyone else. She said it looks like I want to exclude them. My husband told her she was crazy and that life can't stop every other week because the kids aren't here. She told him it seems like I'm living it up with my real kids when the fake ones are with their real mom. I told her we do things with my stepkids all the time. That all I'm doing is making sure the weeks they're not here aren't spent waiting around for them. She asked why that would be a bad thing, and I said it's because there are 2 other kids to think about. I told her she never said anything before. She said she's increasingly bothered by it because she sees the kids' behavior getting worse and believes it's my way of punishing them. She asked me why I can't wait to do any big-ish stuff for when my stepkids are here. My husband told her to shut up, and SIL said we were in denial and I should really think about this. I want to check because she has planted some doubt in my head about this. Aita. Stories number 21. Aita for refusing to cancel my birthday trip because my boyfriend's mom planned a family dinner the same day. I, 20F, planned a weekend getaway with 2 close friends for my birthday. I've had a rough year, and this trip was something I really looked forward to. It's nothing wild. Just a cabin, some wine, and hiking. I booked it over a month ago and told my boyfriend, 23M, right away. He said it sounded fun and was happy for me. A few days ago his mom decided to host a family dinner on the same weekend. She didn't ask about our plans, just texted the whole family like, dinner at our place Saturday night. Everyone expected. My boyfriend asked if I could cancel the trip or at least come back early so I could attend. I told him no. It's my birthday, I made the plans first, and I wasn't going to cut it short for something his mom planned last minute. He got really quiet and said I was being disrespectful to his family and choosing friends over people who really care. Now he's distant, and his sister texted me something like, it's not that hard to show up for family. I don't hate his family at all. But this felt unfair. Aita for sticking to my birthday plans. Stories number 22. Aita for telling my wife not to come to my ex-wife's funeral to support my daughter because my daughter doesn't want her there. My ex-wife died a couple of days ago. We shared a daughter, 14, together. Our divorce was not on the best of terms. We were both at fault. Nobody cheated. But we weren't the best spouses to each other. For a long time we both tried to put our daughter first. But after I remarried things did change. My ex alienated our daughter against my wife. I did what I could to stop it, and I made sure I tried to counteract what my ex was doing. I did fight my ex in court over it. But my ex did successfully alienate our daughter against my wife. This was 4 years ago. My wife was pregnant at the time, so it was stressful when we realized what was happening, and my wife and daughter do not have a close or healthy relationship. My daughter shuts my wife out because of what her mom has said. She has at times been rude to my wife, and I have stepped in to tell her she cannot be like that. I told her I can't make her like, love or be close to my wife, but she must be respectful. The rudeness was never a big problem, but the rejection of a relationship has remained consistent. Now my ex-wife is dead and my daughter's grieving. My daughter has stated clearly she does not want my wife or my son, 3.5, there. My wife wants to go to the funeral. She said my daughter will always remember her not being there for her and keeping her brother away from supporting her if we listen. She said at the very least she must be there. That maybe our son is too young. But as her stepmom, if she doesn't show up and show she loves her, things will never get better. My daughter screamed at the top of her lungs yesterday because she heard my wife say she wants to come and support my daughter. My daughter stated it very aggressively and in a state of raw grief that my wife will not be a comfort because she hated her mom and nobody wants her there. I told my wife not to come. I said I will be there. And I know my daughter has mixed feelings about me being there, but she ultimately wants me there. My wife expressed that she worried it was a big risk and my daughter would remember it as her not being supportive later. And I said potentially it could. But it could also show my daughter that she's willing to respect her boundaries. That she's not trying to take her mom's place. I told my wife it will be more difficult now because my daughter's mom is dead and it can be hard to see the flaws in people's actions when we lose them too soon, and I feel deep down that if she shows up my daughter will turn against her more. My daughter sought the advice of the family therapist we have visited over the years and the therapist agreed with me. But my wife was upset. She told me she wanted my support and that she felt like I was encouraging her to not be a good stepmom. Stories number 23. Aita for refusing to help my cousin get a job after he tried to sleep with my girlfriend, faked messages to frame me, and now says I'm ruining his future. I'm 27 now and work in tech sales. It's one of those jobs where the barrier to entry is low, but the money's really good if you can talk and hustle. No degree needed. I make good money now, over 6 figures, and honestly got lucky breaking in when I did. Anyway, when I was 22 I was dating this girl I was serious about. My cousin Jake, 26M, and I were super close growing up. Like, best friends. We gamed together, spent weekends at each other's houses, all of that. He knew everything about me, even my passwords, since we used to share accounts and devices. During that relationship, I started noticing he'd act weird around my girl. Not outright disrespectful, just too friendly. He'd try to be funny around her, text her random stuff, be overly charming. I brought it up once and he played dumb, so I dropped it. I wish I didn't. Out of nowhere, my girl blocks me. I check socials, locked out of Discord, Instagram, everything. Eventually I get screenshots from her showing disgusting DMs from my accounts, hitting up other girls, trashing her, saying I was bored, etc. I didn't send any of that. Long story short, Jake had saved my logins and used my accounts to send all those messages, frame me, and break us up. Then 2 days later he tells her he's always had feelings for her and they should talk. She exposed him. She literally messaged me and told me everything. That was the last time I ever spoke to him. I cut him off completely. My family knew what happened, and they all basically told me to let it go. No one held him accountable. Typical. Now fast forward to last week. He texts me out of nowhere saying he's trying to break into tech sales but can't get a referral anywhere and asks if I can help him get hired at my company. I ignored him. Then his mom calls me saying I'm being selfish and ruining his chance at a better life. My mom gets involved too, saying he was just a kid back then and I should be the bigger person. Now he's texting me saying I'm holding a grudge over a girl I don't even date anymore, and that I'm sabotaging his future. Like, no bro. You pretended to be me. You literally impersonated me, destroyed my relationship, and tried to take my girl. You think I'm gonna help you get a 6-figure job at my company? Are you dumb? Now half my family thinks I'm being petty and I'm hearing things like, family's all you got, and, don't burn bridges. I don't feel bad at all. But with all this pressure, it's making me wonder. Aita. Stories number 24. Aita for refusing to visit my husband's birth son with him this summer. My husband has a 14-year-old son who was given up for adoption at birth. My husband and his ex were 18 and did not feel ready to parent, so they chose to let him be raised by people who wanted him desperately. They have an open adoption. They visit about once a year and do regular video calls with their birth son. This has always been a source of joy for their birth son from what I have seen. My husband was upfront about all of this from the start. He never hid anything and the contact has been consistent our whole relationship. So here's the thing. I have met his birth son once. It was before we got married and I knew he did not like me. The whole meeting was awkward and the time we spent together was awkward. His parents had to correct him a couple of times for being rude. I did not visit with my husband the next 2 times he went. My husband's ex is also married now and her husband had a similar experience with our spouse's birth son. My husband's ex and her husband had a baby almost 2 years ago. My husband and I had ours 5 months ago. Their birth son did not appear very happy to hear his birth parents were having more kids. He has siblings he's growing up with, so he's not an only child and never was. But I know my husband and his ex are hoping their birth son will see the babies as the half-siblings that they technically are. Especially when he has such a good relationship with them. Ex's husband has picked up on the same vibe as me, that it's not happening and that their birth son during video calls is only really happy to see talk to his birth parents and not us or the babies. And we get this. But we've had a lot of similar experiences here. We're not really anything to this kid but the people his birth parents married and had more kids with. Ex's husband said there is some hostility our spouse's birth son has toward us or him, but he believes us. And he told me he was left on a video call for a couple of minutes when his wife was tending to their child and the teen glared at him and was mumbling under his breath. He told me his wife appeared surprised. I also spoke to my husband about my feelings and he was surprised and concerned. So now both my husband and his ex have decided we should all visit their birth son together this summer and spend several days together. They feel like it should help him get to know us better and get to meet his biological half-siblings. I put my foot down and refused to go. I told my husband he should accept where his birth son is at, and right now accepting me and his ex's husband is not something he appears willing to do. I said going out there with him could make this kid feel even more animosity toward us for interfering on the time with them when we all know he loves seeing them. My husband said I need to be there and we need all this to work. He said not going will send a message that I don't care. Stories number 25. Aita 4, letting a child starve. I, 17M, live with a 34F woman in the city. She's not my mom, not a relative, not a family friend like IRC. She was a friend of one of my mother's colleagues, but don't quote me on that, literally just someone I split rent with. Rent in this city is insane, and since I go to a private school here, which is about 2 hours from my actual home, this was the only realistic setup. We both pay rent and live our own lives. That was the arrangement. She has a 7-year-old son, and lately she's been expecting me to feed or watch him in the evenings. This wasn't discussed beforehand. I didn't sign up to be anyone's babysitter. I'm currently on study break for my final exams in May, and I usually just stay in my room all day grinding through prep. Her kid gets home around 4 p.m., and she doesn't finish her second job until around 7:30 p.m. most days. Until recently, the kid just grabbed snacks or something from the pantry, and that was that. But this past Friday, she messaged me saying she'd be home late, like 1:30 a.m., and asked me to make dinner for her son. I replied, nah, I'm busy with something and can't be bothered to make anything. If you want, order Uber Eats or something and I'll go down and pick it up from the front desk. She said she couldn't do that, gave no reason, and I didn't follow up. I was busy, and honestly didn't feel like I should be responsible for that situation. She got back home late and was pissed. Told me I was selfish and inconsiderate, that I'm living under her roof and eating her food, even though I'm paying rent, like I said, and that the least I could do was help her out. I told her bluntly that I'm not her babysitter, I didn't agree to take on any responsibility for her kid, and that it's not fair to try and guilt me into it just because I'm physically present. Since then, it's gotten worse. She started making passive-aggressive comments, stuff like, must be nice to only care about your little exams, or complaining loudly on the phone when I'm nearby about how some people don't respect the house they live in. She slams doors, sighs dramatically, and sometimes tries to bait me into arguments by asking things like, so are you too busy to even say hi to a child now? I'm trying to keep my head down and stay focused, but it's exhausting. I pay rent. I stay in my room. I'm not being disruptive. I never agreed to provide childcare, and I don't think it's fair that she's treating me like I did. So Reddit, Aita for refusing to cook for her kid and not taking responsibility for something I never signed up for. Stories number 26. Mom lives with a sex offender. I don't want to visit her house. My mom has a roommate who's lived with her for several years. They often socialize together on the weekends, run errands together, work on house projects together. Nothing romantic, more of a roommate situation, but they've lived together so long that he's practically family. I've met him a few times, had some beers on the porch. He's been to my house once or twice. Seems like a nice enough guy. Mom mentioned recently that he can no longer come to our house because we're too close to the park. She said it like it was no big deal, but it rang alarm bells in my mind. I didn't say anything in the moment because my daughter was with me and I didn't want to have that discussion in front of her. Sure enough, roommate is on the registry. Online solicitation. Victim was not much older than my daughter. Based on the info online, he was living in her house when it happened. He was sentenced to probation and supervision. I did some Googling to see if I could find any more information but only found other people with the same name. Maybe there are mitigating factors, maybe he's rehabilitated, but the whole situation creeps me out. Obviously mom knows he's registered and is okay with it. She's invited us over so we can all, specifically including roommate, hang out. Knowing what I know, I don't want to associate with the guy, and I definitely don't want to take my daughter around him. I can't exactly suggest that he go take a walk around the park while we're there. While she's welcome to come to my house, I'd rather not go to hers. Stories number 27. I'm constantly wearing underwear with shit in them. I have to tell someone other than my wife. I have a medical condition that basically means that I can't fully truly keep my anus tight. As such, at the end of most days I will have skid marks in my underwear, happened all my life. When I was a kid it was bad enough I would have to take some pretty strong laxatives and shit for at least 4 hours to clear out my system, at least one a week. My mom took me to a pretty bad doctor who probably thought I was lying. My mom would have too probably, but it started young enough that it was even happening when she was the one wiping my ass, and thought I just wasn't wiping enough, so he said the only other option he could offer was a colostomy bag. Either way, this has been something I have kept hidden my whole life. It's petty easy to keep on the low, shower 2x a day, take a few extra bathroom breaks, essentially just keep up extremely good hygiene and keep your laundry out of sight. But all this to say that I'm currently happily married to a woman who doesn't mind and isn't even at all worried about doing my laundry. Of course it's not pretty, but there isn't anything really past a few brown lines here or there. Just never really thought I would be able to meet someone who could look past something so embarrassing as if it was nothing. Stories number 28. I'm really starting to believe it's a manipulation thing from older men. So if you're not familiar with Hinge, it's a dating site. I'm 21F. I get likes from older men all the time, and recently I've come to catch that a lot of them would lie about their age and remove 10 to 15 years, and I snoop and later find out. So today I got a like from an older guy. Age was displayed 43 and he looks way older, so I just accepted him. I was bored and I messaged, "Who do you expect to believe you're 43? Then he goes on to say he is actually 43 and turns 44 in October. I just can't believe it, so I search him up and truth is he's not 43 like initially figured. So then instead of calling him out I just messaged him and said, haha, that's so funny because I'm 41. After he read my message he asked, but your profile says 21, I didn't respond, but 5 minutes later he unmatched. To me this just affirms the manipulation narrative that these men really are looking for young girls because it's easier to manipulate than older women, because let's say I was 41 I still looked the same on my profile, so it's not the young women look better narrative. Also it's not about fertility because on his profile it says, has kids, and, want no more kids. He already started off his message trying to manipulate me into thinking he was 43, and he's not the only older man on these apps doing this. What is wrong with these older men? Stories number 29. In my teens, I scammed people on Runescape and made more money than most people make working full time. Firstly, I want to say that this was a long time ago, and I haven't touched the game in years. I'm going to be pretty vague on some facts, because if you played the game, you would likely have interacted with me at one point or another, as my scam accounts became pretty notorious, as well as my legit accounts. For about 5 years, I would separate people with golden pixels. I did this, by firstly and most frequently, simply fast and accurate clicking. Changing values, items and trade screens, etc. This is now fixed thanks to the trade delay before being able to accept the screen. There were a number of other techniques that worked, including abusing game glitches, and loopholes in systems, but there's no point going into detail as many people reading this won't know the game or how it works. Back when I did this, I was making on average anywhere between 300 to 500 million gold in a few hours of playing, and I would play every other day. The real-world value of 1 million gold at the time was around 0.80 GBP, so at a baseline £240 in 2 to 3 hours. Good days would be over a billion, with my very maximum score being 4.6B in a day, which is £3,680. I would also reinvest the money earned by paying account trainers to create unique accounts for me, by hand training. I would then sell these accounts for 3-5x their value. I would pay account farmers to farm items in-game, and in turn turn them into gold, and sell those for real money. I ran bots to farm items gold, though found these unreliable due to increase in botting detection in the game. I'm not proud of it, I just found it interesting just how much money can be made from a virtual ecosystem like Runescape, and how easy it was to access. Fairly sure all of the methods are patched now, hence why I'm finally confessing. TLDR, made as much as a large business owner, by ripping off children in a game, because I was an arsehole. Edit. This has apparently triggered a lot of RuneScape fanboys that still play. I'm sorry that I fucked with your weird little obsession, but it's in the past, and there's nothing I can do about it now. In answers to your questions, this was on and off for a collective total of about 5 years, between 2012 to 2020. Less towards the latter years. Yes, I took part in the magenta fat dupe. No, I wasn't RWT or making money back then. Yes, there were game glitch abuse involved, such as Castle Wars bandages in Duel Arena, etc. No, I do not care if you believe me or not. I did not expect this to pick up so much traction, and the fact that a triggered RuneScape player has made a cross-post to this thread, I find absolutely hilarious. The guy is trying to find flaws in my story by reciting the release dates of items, etc., that I've posted in screenshot that I found in my phone. My friend, I do not care enough to go to that kind of effort. I came into this subreddit filled with regret for my actions in days gone by. Now, I hope they were people like you that gave me their gold, and sat crying for days. And to all of the other RuneScape fanboys, stop messaging me, I do not care, face with tears of joy. Edit. To all of the people messaging asking for tips and leaks for glitches, the ones I used are at least 5 years old. No idea of any of these work still. Fletch and arrow on Entrana, trade to the person with the loot in their inventory. Ghosty man appears and kills them. Very old. Bandages smuggled from Castle Wars can be used to eat in steaks in the Duel Arena. This was patched within days. There's a spot accessible with the disc returning, that glitches you out of the map. This, as far as I know, is still abusable, as it's extremely niche. I'm not telling you how to use it, you'll have to work that out yourself. Armadillo plates. Use 10 noted armadillo plates, swap them out in one tick for 10 noted rune-trimmed armadillo plates. Nerfed by trade delay. Edit. Some of the more recognizable name variations I used. I took your gold, I took yo gold, etc. Wolf, with various numbers, testicools, etc. Stories number 30. Aita for freaking out on my boyfriend after he and his friends ate the cake I made for my friend's birthday. I, 19F, have been with my boyfriend, 22M, and let's call him Jonah, for 5 years, and we have a 4-year-old Anna. He's a good dad, don't get me wrong. He loves our kid, plays with her, and helps out when it's his turn for the most part. But sometimes, it feels like he just does what he wants and I'm the only one who actually has to be the responsible adult in this situation. Like, I don't care that he still hangs out with his friends. I do too when I have the time and want him to have fun or whatever. But when they come over, they get way too rowdy. They'll be drinking, blasting music, smoking, weed, not cigarettes, but still I don't want that around my kid, and just being loud. I've told him a million times that's not the kind of energy I want our daughter around, and he just acts like I'm being uptight. So when I know he's having a chill night with them, I usually just take Anna to my parents' house so she doesn't have to deal with it. This time, I was actually excited to get out of the house for another reason. My best friend's birthday. She's been talking about this specific cake for months, a chocolate cheesecake stuffed sheet cake, which, BTW, took me forever to get right, so we agreed I'd make it for her birthday. I was so happy with how it turned out. Baking's one of the few little things I got in between taking care of Anna and online school, so I get really happy and proud about it when I get to it. Whether it's just for fun or for someone else, I spent hours making this cake. It was perfect. Before I left for my parents' house, I made it very, very clear to my boyfriend, do not touch this cake. It's for, friend. He kinda laughed and went, yeah, okay, babe, like I was being weird for even saying it. I come back the next morning, go to grab the cake, and half of it is gone. Like, a whole side of it just destroyed. I did have the thought maybe he would have cut himself a little piece, which would have still pissed me off, but whatever, but no, his friends got into it too. I asked him what the hell happened, and Jonah just shrugged and told me that they had the munchies. Like that was some kind of valid excuse. I was so mad. I told him I spent hours on it, that it was literally my best friend's birthday cake, and that I had specifically told him not to touch it. And he had the audacity to go, babe, it's just some cake, why are you acting like this? Like, I don't know, maybe because I put so much effort into it and now I have nothing to bring to my friend's party. He kept going on about how I was blowing shit out of proportion and how I could just make another one. As if I even have the time to do that and for it to be ready for the party. We kept arguing about it until he rolled his eyes at me and told me if I was gonna act like that over cake then I could stay with my parents. So yeah. He kicked me out. I barely had time to grab my things and our daughter because he was practically shooing me out of the door and leave. Now I'm back at my parents' house, feeling so stupid for even being surprised. And of course, now Jonah's texting me acting all confused like he never did anything. He's saying, I just needed space to cool down, and I didn't mean for you to actually leave. I felt pretty justified until my mom told me basically that I need to let things like this and not overreact so much over mistakes. My mom is usually right when she tells me things like this. So yeah. Edit. I've left my mom's house and I'm staying at a friend's place with my daughter. I'm going to meet with a lawyer this Thursday for a free consultation. Thank you all so much for your help in making me see sense. RN. Update, Aita for freaking out on my boyfriend after he and his friends ate the cake I made for my friend's birthday. So yeah, a lot has happened since I posted. I didn't expect this many people to even read it, let alone support me the way y'all did. First off, thank you, seriously. It made me realize I wasn't as crazy or overdramatic as some people kept trying to make me feel. Me and Anna are staying with my friend. She's been amazing. Helping with Anna, giving me a place to crash, and making a part of her living room into a little area for my online school. I've been applying to part-time jobs, cafes, bakeries, whatever I can get, and one place actually seemed really interested, so fingers crossed. Sadly the shit did get messier though. A week ago, I found out Jonah's been cheating on me. One of his friends, who honestly always seemed more decent than the rest, DM'd me out of nowhere and basically said I deserved to know because Jonah was bragging about messing around with some girl he met at a party weeks ago. I didn't even have to ask for proof, he sent screenshots of their texts and a photo of them together. I was still trying to process that when Jonah showed up at my friend's place. I didn't tell him to come. I hadn't answered any of his texts, and I definitely didn't say he could just roll up. I was outside with Anna on the porch, letting her ride her scooter for a bit while I kept an eye on her. He pulled up, got out of the car, already yelling, accusing me of trying to take his daughter away from him and trying to ruin his life. I told him to leave and kept my voice calm because Anna was right there, but he kept pushing it, getting louder and more aggressive. I told him I knew about the cheating because his friend told me when he tried to go off about me not being loyal. That's when he lost it completely. He got in my face, called me a bunch of names I'm not repeating here, and then slapped me hard. I fell back but managed to catch myself with my arms before I hit the steps. I didn't hit my head, but I landed weird and immediately felt the worst pain in my wrist. Then while I was still on the ground, he spat on me, right in front of our daughter. Anna started crying and ran toward me. I grabbed her with my good arm and rushed inside. My friend was already calling the cops when I told her what happened. Jonah took off before they got there. I went to urgent care that night. My right wrist is fractured and in a brace now. The doctor said it should heal okay, but it still hurts like hell and makes everything harder: school, job apps, parenting. I'm working with the lawyer I mentioned before and filing for a protective order. I am pressing charges. I never thought I'd be in this kind of situation, but I'm not letting it slide. Not when he did that in front of our kid. Anna hasn't been asking for him much, which honestly surprised me. She's been sticking close to me and my friend. She asks questions sometimes, but not about seeing him. More like, we're safe here, right? And yeah, it hurts my heart but makes me feel like I'm doing something right. My mom still keeps saying stuff like, he's still her father, and warning me to not make things worse despite me telling her what happened, but I'm done listening to that. I tried to keep the peace. I stayed quiet for so long. But not anymore. My dad's been trying to stay neutral between us, but he's been checking in on me a lot and helping with rides and stuff. I can tell he's more on my side, even if he's trying not to make it a thing between him and my mom. Thanks again to everyone who helped me feel sane through this. I really needed that. I'll update again when something changes, hopefully for the better. Stories number 31. Aita for telling my sister and Bil's girlfriend the truth about their last partner when they started talking about having a baby. I, 29F, have a sister, Ava, 36F, who's in a poly relationship with her husband Ben, 39M, and their girlfriend Lily, 25F. Lily's been with them for a year and a half now. She's warm, kind, and upbeat, really into the idea of their modern family-esque setup. She's grown super attached to my nephew Noah, 5, who's Ben's biological kid from a previous relationship. Lily's basically become Noah's third parent. She does school pickup, making lunches, days out at the park, bedtime, that kind of thing. She once told me she couldn't wait to give him a little sibling. She genuinely loves that kid. I think part of what made this so hard is that she wasn't just talking about babies in the abstract, she wanted to raise one with Ava and Ben, and be a mom to Noah, too. So when Ava and Ben announced they were going to start trying for a baby with Lily, it gave me pause. Because before Lily, there was Rachel. She met Ava and Ben when she was 21 and was with them until around 24, right when she had Noah. After that, she was just gone. The story was that Rachel realized she wasn't ready for motherhood, disliked the poly lifestyle, so she didn't want to be in the relationship anymore and gave Ava and Ben full custody. The relationship always felt off, but when I brought up how young she'd been and how weird the dynamic seemed, Ava immediately shut me down and made me feel judgmental for even asking. Then, a few months ago, Rachel reached out to me. She said she'd struggled badly with postpartum and that Ava and Ben basically pushed her out. Kept her isolated from her family, undermined her confidence, and slowly made her feel like leaving was her only option. She had receipts, screenshots, voicemails, legal docs. One voicemail was just her crying, saying she didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with that info. Until the talk of them having a baby started. And suddenly I couldn't unsee the pattern, so I told Lily. Not in a dramatic way, just that Rachel's version of events didn't match what she'd been told, and that I had proof if she ever wanted to see it. She was quiet, asked for me to send the proof to her, which I obviously did, thanked me, and then she moved out of Ava and Ben's house a week later to go be with her parents. She's still seeing Noah, but she's clearly pulling away. A breakup seems inevitable now. Ava and Ben clearly know what I told her and are furious. Ben called me manipulative. My parents, who've always admitted the whole setup is odd but stayed out of it, are mad I blew up their family. Ava even tried to guilt me by saying Lily was the best thing to happen to Noah, and now he's heartbroken. I didn't want to cause harm, I just didn't want someone else to get pushed out the way Rachel did. Stories number 32. I planned a birthday dinner for myself and no one showed up. I moved to New York about 5 months ago for work. It's been hard starting over. I don't really know anyone here, but I've been trying. I made a couple friends at work, and I've met a couple people at my gym who seemed cool, so I decided to plan a small birthday dinner. Nothing crazy, just a group of 5 people, at a casual restaurant in my neighborhood. I made a reservation, sent out the invite, even followed up the day before just to check in. Everyone said they were in, so I showed up, waited, and no one came. Not one person. No text. No, sorry. Just silence. It was awful. I felt so embarrassed I wanted to just hide under the table. Remember that Sex and the City episode with Carrie's birthday dinner where no one showed? That was me. I sat at a table for 6 for about 45 minutes before I ordered something small and told the waiter they probably weren't coming. I kept smiling because I didn't want to seem like that person. But it was one of the most humiliating moments of my life. The worst part is I didn't tell anyone. Not my family. Not my close friends back home. When my coworkers casually asked how the dinner went the next day, I just said, "Oh yeah, it was really nice, super chill." I lied because the truth felt unbearable. I feel like I'm failing at making a life here, and this just confirmed everything I've been scared is true, that I'm forgettable, awkward, too much effort to care about. I don't know what the point of this post is. I just feel like I'm carrying around this huge ball of shame and needed to put it somewhere. Stories number 33. Aita for being upset that my husband planned a date that we never went on. My husband, 27M, asked me, 28F, if I wanted to go on a date this weekend. I gladly said yes as we have 2 kids and I always need some time away from the chaos at home. Well, he says something along the lines of, see if your parents can watch the kids. So I ask and my parents say yes they can watch the kids. They ask what time and I have no clue, so I just name a time and say 6 to 9 p.m., because my husband has not said anything to me other than, do you want to go on a date, and, ask your parents to watch them. Saturday rolls around, our date night, and he is out in the yard all morning tinkering with the sprinklers and doing other stuff in the yard. I asked if we were still going on a date and he asks me if my parents were still going to watch the kids. I told him yes but I'd make sure. Well, my mom had forgotten and kind of put me on standby. I relayed this to him and he didn't say much. I asked what he had planned and he really didn't say anything, just that if my parents weren't able to let him know. 2 p.m. rolls around. I've already gotten dressed, put on makeup and been excited about going out to do something. I asked again if we were still going to go out and again he says it's dependent upon my parents' ability to watch the kids, but we can take the kids if need be. Honestly, I am at home with the kids all day and don't really want to bring them because I just want a moment alone. 4 p.m. rolls around and my mom confirms that she can watch them, but she's been cleaning all day and seems stressed. Meanwhile, my husband is still outside doing whatever he is doing. He has been outside from maybe 11 to 3 p.m. at this point and gave me no indication that we were still going on our date aside from asking if my parents were still watching the kids. At this point, I feel like I am the one solely invested in this date night by organizing childcare and continuously asking my husband if we are actually going anywhere. I finally just tell my mom to forget it, she is stressed, I don't feel like my husband cares, we will just figure out another day. I text my husband and told him I wasn't in the mood to go out and I poured myself a drink and changed into sweats and laid in bed. He proceeds to take our oldest and goes to the store to buy beer, that he's been wanting because he drank his stash a few days ago, and fruit, because our daughter is out of fruit. I have changed into sweats at this point and have started drinking because I am sad. I was looking forward to going on a date not planned by me and it didn't end up happening because I feel like my husband didn't actually plan anything and I had to plan childcare for an event that I didn't even know was happening or not. I tried talking with him about it and it ended in me being the problem and how, this is why he never tries to do anything for me. I genuinely want to know if I am in the wrong. There is a lot more to our marriage than this story, but I am trying to grasp if I am the problem because I want to fix things if I am. So,